Our next broadcast premiered in 1935. The program struggled in the ratings until 1940 when it became a national sensation. Within 3 years, it was the top-rated program in America. Few radio shows were more beloved, and few play as well half a century later. It was the brainchild of real-life married couple Jim and Marion Jordan and was broadcast to the nation from WMAQ Chicago. The show entertained America until March of 1956 and continued on NBC's Monitor until 1959. We invite you to join us at 79 Wistful Vista with Fibber McGee and Molly right here on HOJO Radio.
The makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Fibber McGee and Molly, written by Don Quinn, with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with Let's Break the Ice. I read an interesting letter from a talented lady who said she and her husband always listen to Fibber McGee and Molly on Tuesday nights. Never miss it because it's her husband's favorite radio show. But he's never bought her any Johnson's Wax or Self-Polishing Glow Coat. Well, that was hard for me to figure out. My wife never asks me if she can buy anything like that. But let me make just this one little point about Johnson's Glow Coat. Forget for a minute all the work it saves your little wife. Forget the compliments she'll get from your
friends when they see those gleaming linoleum floors wearing their protective coats of Glow Coat polish. But think for a moment about this fact. The Johnson's Glow Coat makes linoleum last much longer, protects it from wear and tear. And I think you'll agree with me that not to insist upon your wife using Glow Coat is just bad business. Remember, Glow Coat needs no rubbing or buffing. It's self-polishing. Buy some tomorrow. Well, there's been quite an argument going on this last week at 79 Wistful Vista. Mrs. McGee says her husband should go see an oculist. Mr. McGee says he'll do no such thing. Oh. So, here sitting in the office of Wistful Vista's leading oculist, we find Fibber McGee and Molly.
Oh, now stop your fidgeting, McGee. The doctor will see you in just a few minutes.
I don't care if he never sees me. This whole idea is silly. I don't need glasses.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I suppose you were just kidding this morning when you yelled, "Hey, I found a quarter." And then you picked up the manhole cover.
Well, shucks. There's nothing really wrong with my eyes at all. I just strained them a little looking for that comet, that's all.
Well, I'm glad to hear you even admit that. Heavenly days, it's no disgrace to wear glasses.
Oh, you just say that on account of Uncle Dennis.
He doesn't wear glasses.
Oh, no? He's worn out most of ours one way and another.
Well, you'll admit he carries it like a gentleman.
Yeah. He even hiccups with a Harvard accent. Look, Molly, you know very well my eye strain is just a temporary condition. I don't...
All right, Doc. Sure is a load off my mind.
Oh, hello there, old-timer. Been getting your eyes examined?
Yep. As the chemist says, when the dye factory blew up, I come out with flying colors.
Well, what did the doctor tell you?
Oh, he says I didn't have a thing to worry about, Tony. Says I'll be reading newspapers without glasses when I'm 95.
Oh, that's swell, old-timer. I'm glad to hear it. What's the matter with your eyes?
Got a twitch in one of them, Johnny.
Oh. Nervous?
Not till I had my face slapped the third time.
They thought you were a matcher, eh? Well, as I always says, old-timer, the trouble with flirting is that you're generally flirting with trouble.
That's pretty good, Johnny. But that ain't the way I heard it. The way I heard it, which was t'other day while I was sitting in a little booth getting my pants pressed because the garden needed some rain. It always rains when I get my pants pressed, which is why they don't have any women in the weather bureau.
Yeah, but the way you heard it...
Oh, yeah. One feller says to t'other feller, "Hey," he says, I see where a young college feller pole vaulted more than 15 feet to a new world's record last Saturday. Ain't that wonderful? Yeah, says t'other feller, but he never could have done it without that big stick. Well, I guess the doctor will be seeing you in a minute, kid.
Well, thanks, Mr. Oldtimer. You say he thought your eyes were all right, huh?
Yep. Says I'll be reading newspapers without glasses when I'm 95. On one condition.
What's the condition?
Gotta learn to read. Come on, kid.
I wonder how old he is, McGee.
Search me, but I'd swear he wears a TP.
No, you mean a frappe.
I do not. A frappe is a small sedan.
Go on, that's a coupe.
Well, then what's a TP?
A teepee is a wigwam.
That's what I've been trying to say. To keep his wigwam, he has to wear a TP.
Oh, dear. That joke was old when radio was just a funny noise from Schenectady. Oh, I wish that doctor'd hurry.
No, we're not in any hurry. Besides, that other guy's ahead of us.
Who?
That guy standing over there in the corner. Hey, take your hat off, mister. There's a lady present.
McGee, that's a hat rack.
Huh? Oh. Well, I just...
All right, Mr. McGee, you're next, I believe. Will you step in here, please?
Okay, Doc.
You may come too if you wish, Mrs. McGee.
Oh, thank you, Doc.
Now, you understand, I'm just doing this to humor my wife, Doc. My eyes are as good as they ever were.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll just give you a preliminary examination, Mr. McGee. Yes. There's nothing to worry about.
Who's worrying?
I am.
What about?
Oh, nothing in particular. I just worry. Gives me that busy professional frown, you know. Very valuable in precious people. Yes. Now, first, Mr. McGee, I want you to read the chart for me.
XKMZOPLBW.
Isn't that wonderful, Doctor?
Certainly is. Now, I'll put up the chart and see if he can do it. Now then, Mr. McGee, read the top line.
The top line from the bottom?
Quit stalling, McGee. Read the chart.
Well, he cheated. That ain't the chart I'm familiar with.
Look, Mr. McGee, I'm afraid I'll have to relax the muscles of your eyes before I can examine them properly. They're a bit strange, you know.
Oh, well, how will you do that, Doctor?
We'll put drops in them.
Oh.
Relaxes the muscles and enlarges the pupil.
Oh, yes.
His vision will be blurred for a few hours, and then I want him to come back. Say in about 3 hours. Yes.
Oh, no, wait a minute, Doc.
Now?
Sir, I don't want
Now, McGee?
Huh?
Who knows best? You or the doctor? You don't either. Go ahead, Doctor.
Very well. Open your eyes wide, McGee. Not your mouth, your eyes. That's it. Yes. 1, 2, there. Now, that wasn't so bad, was it?
No.
Oh, I guess I'll live to it. I ain't scared.
Well, then what are you trembling?
I'm not trembling.
The doctor ought to know, dearie. You're holding his hand.
Huh? Oh. I thought that was yours, Mom. Excuse me, Doc.
That's all right. I'll have the circulation back in that hand in no time. Well, that's all for now, Mr. McGee. Remember, back here in 3 hours. Yes.
Well, now, what do we do in the meantime?
We might go sit in a movie.
Don't be silly. You couldn't see the picture, and the dialogue wouldn't make sense.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. McGee. Who is he to criticize senseless dialogue? Eh? Don't you worry about your eyes, Mr. McGee. There may be nothing at all wrong, you know. Nothing at all.
Oh, I'm not worried, Doc. All us McGees have had good eyes, particularly the men in the family. Why, even when I was a tiny baby, people used to say, "Can you imagine such beautiful eyes in a mug like that?" Eyes of Muggin' McGee, I was known as in them days. Eyes of Muggin' McGee, a magnificent masculine mess of muscle and mental magnitude, mentioned in Milady's monthly magazines as the mighty male who managed to mesmerize most of the merry minxes of Monte Carlo, and the majority of Marcel's maidens of Manhattan, and many of the magnetic misses of Mississippi, Missouri, Michigan, Montana, Minneapolis, Minnesota. A merry mass of manhood with a touch of Irish off, but let's get going, Molly, or I'll believe this stuff myself. swell idea of yours, Molly, stopping in here for a bite to eat instead of sitting in the park.
How are your eyes, dearie? Is the medicine wearing off?
Oh, sure, I can see better now than I... Whoops!
What's the matter?
I guess I'm kind of clumsy today. I dropped the top off the ketchup bottle and into the sugar bowl.
That was an olive, then you dropped it in the cream pitcher, and there's no ketchup on the table. Heavenly days, it's a good thing I'm with you, or goodness knows what. Uh-oh. McGee.
Huh?
There's Mrs. Uppington over at that table behind the post.
What's the old war horse eating? A bale of hay all rotten?
Let me see. No, she's polishing off a big piece of chocolate chiffon pie. And the next time she tries to tell me about living on Melba toast and skim milk, I'll... Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Uppington? Imagine meeting you here.
How do you do, my dear? Good day, Miss McGee.
Hi, Uppy.
Mrs. Uppington is over there, dearie. I'm Mrs. McGee.
Oh.
You're looking very well for yourself, Abigail, old girl.
Thank you, my dear. Though I must do something about my weight. I'm simply gaining ounces, you know.
Oh, cut it out, Uppy, cut it out. You got a wonderful figure, Uppy. In fact, I never seen you look handsomer than you do today. You ain't fat, you're just chubby in a cute way.
Oh, flatterer.
Besides, what if you do gain a little, Abigail? I always said what this country needs is less hustle and more bustle.
And that's a mighty ducky little chapeau you're sporting today, too, Uppy.
Miss McGee, I am not wearing a hat.
Huh? Oh, I thought that was an airplane. Well, you're always so far ahead of the styles, I thought you had on one of them new off-the-head hats.
Now you say such sweet things, Miss McGee.
I have a tough time doing it, though.
But it is sweet, and my head is easily turned, you know.
Well, that's because your neck is so skinny, Abigail.
You know, Molly Uppy seems to have took on an entirely new personality lately. Looking at her right now, she kind of vibrates. She just glows. There's a kind of a radiance about her.
Oh, no, Mr. McGee, you silly boy. You never talked to me like that before.
Of course he didn't. He never had an oculus put drops in his eyes before either.
Oh, you poor boy. My, doesn't it make everything look horribly distorted? Oh, you mean all those nice things? Well, I have never been so insulted. Goodbye, you squirt.
Molly, did I say something wrong?
Oh, no. But I don't think that was government-inspected bologna you were dishing out. Come on, McGee, let's go.
Okay, you paid the check?
Yes, I did. Can I help you with your coat, dearie?
No, thanks, I got it.
You got it all right. You got it inside out.
Huh?
Here, let me. McGee, this isn't your coat.
It isn't? Well, where is mine? I put it right on that rack there.
Oh, dear. Somebody must have taken yours by mistake and left this one.
Huh?
Look, here's the owner's name on the inside of the pocket. Wallace Wimple.
Wallace Wimple, eh? Well, whoever he is, he's got a lot of moxie swiping my coat. Wait till I get my hands on that guy. He'll wish he'd never picked on...
Hello there, folks. What's the matter?
Hi, Gildersleeve.
No, it isn't Mr. Gildersleeve, dearie. That's Mr. Wilcox.
Oh.
He's being examined for glasses, Mr. Wilcox, and he's got drops in his eyes.
Hey, Harlow, somebody swiped my overcoat and left this one instead.
Well, you're lucky. That's a good-looking coat.
Well, now, we'll have to find the owner. Do you know a Mr. Wallace Wimple, Mr. Wilcox?
Wimple. Not Wallace Wimple.
Yeah, you know him?
Me know Wallace Wimple?
Oh, boy, what?
Why, say, when I first started working for Johnson's Wax, before I even knew what a wonderful thing Johnson's Wax was for beautifying and protecting floors and furniture and woodwork against dust and dirt and dampness, before I even found out what a blessing Johnson's Wax was for particular housewives. And that was... Well, let's see. We've been on the air for Johnson's Wax 6 years today, and I worked for them 4 years before that. That's 10 years. And that was... Well, let's see. Isn't that amazing?
Why, it's unbelievable.
Wilcox is your real name, O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan? No, why?
Oh, I just wondered. You can find more heels to drag a sales talk in by than anybody.
Don't say that, pal. You're not a heel. you're a very nice little guy. Of course, you're not too bright, and you talk too much, but outside of that...
McGee, stop swinging at Mr. Wilcox. Wait till you can see better.
Oh, that's okay, Molly. He was just kidding. And so was I. We can't spoil our 6th anniversary together by fighting. Look, Fibber, why don't you keep this coat and just call it good luck?
Because I'm too honest and it don't fit. Come on, Molly. We got to go find Wimple. Oh, why didn't somebody tell me my shirt tail was sticking out?
Oh, but
look
Fibber,
out, Jerry. Look out.
Who threw that? What's that?
We tried to tell you that wasn't your shirt tail. That was the tablecloth.
Oh, God.
The King's Men sing, Let's Get Away From It All. Gotta go to work on the 8:15. Oh, every day I struggle through the same routine. Oh, every night I go to bed and then get up and start all over again. Let's take a boat to Bermuda. Let's take a plane to St. Paul. Let's ride a kayak to Quincy or Nyack. Let's get away from it all. Let's take a trip in a trailer. No need to come back at all. Let's take a powder to Boston for chowder. Let's get away from it all. We're gonna fly away. We're gonna fly away. We're gonna shut the door and lock the gate and let the bill collectors wait. Hurry up, celebrate before we get too old to make it. Take a boat to Honolulu. We'll take a trip over China's wall. We'll drop a line to Russell Willie on the steamer bound for Chile. Let's get away from it all. Fly, take it down to Rio. Or you can take along a Spanish shawl. We'll take a passage on a freighter just across the old equator. Let's get away from it all. We'll look up all your aunts and all your uncles and your cousins and we'll camp right at their door. They may go broke, but holy smoke, we'll never worry anymore. They'll never miss me at the office. I'm never going back there at all. We'll never be at home when the butcher and the baker and the tailor and the landlord call. We're gonna leave them flat, so baby, grab your hat. Let's get away from it. Let's get away from it all. Away from it all.
Oh, I wish we knew who this Wallace Wimple was. Did you ask the manager of the gas company?
Yes, and the light company and the water company.
Maybe we should hire a private detective.
Do something. I wish my eyes would clear up. As it is, I wouldn't know this Wallace Wimple if I saw him. Ouch, that ratted, Bud. What's the idea of jabbing me with that cigar? Who do you think you are to...
now, McGee.
I'll teach him to stand around in front of cigar stores and bump into people. I got a good notion to slap you down, Bud. What do you think of that? Well, ain't you got anything to say?
Indians don't talk much, McGee.
Is he an Indian?
Yes, and a wooden one at that.
Huh? Oh. Excuse me, Chief. I guess I was off the reservation.
Hi, mister.
Oh, hi there, little girl. I can't see you very good, but I recognize your voice. I got some stuff in my eyes, and I don't see very well for a while yet.
Why?
Well, they do that so they can examine your eyes better.
What's the matter with him, mister? You got astigmatism?
Got what, sis?
Astigmatism.
Shucks, sis. We could have had a cute routine if you'd only mispronounced that.
I know it, but it would have been kind of corny, I betcha.
Well, maybe it would. And seeing that this is our 6th anniversary for Johnson's Wax, maybe we'd better go easy on the corn.
On the what?
Corn.
I'm hungry.
What's the matter with you, sis? You a food hoarder? You save it for a friend?
No, but I got a feed my puppy and my kitty and a turtle. And last Sunday, my papa gave me Easter bunny.
Oh, he did, huh?
Hmm?
I says he did, huh?
He did what?
Your father gave you an Easter bunny.
Gee, did he?
That rabbit, you said he did.
I know it.
Well, then what... Now, look, sis. Did you ever hear of a guy named Wallace Wimple?
Sure.
When?
Just now. Why, Dad?
Because I gotta find him, that's why. And say, by the way, if you ever hear of anyone named Wallace Wimple, come and tell me, will you? And I'll give you a nickel.
It's worth 10 cents, I bet.
Oh. Okay, 10 cents.
You mean you'll give me 10 cents if I tell you how to find him? Do you, please?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Give me the dime.
You know how I can find him?
Sure I do, I bet.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay, here's 10 cents. What do I do?
Look in the telephone book. Go on, mister.
I never thought of that. Hey, Molly, lead me to the nearest phone booth, will you?
All right, dearie. I don't know how we overlooked such an obvious idea.
Well, sometimes the things right under your nose are the hardest to see. As the high school kid says when he tries to raise a mustache. Hey, Molly.
What?
Does drops in your eyes affect your other muscles? I'm developing an awful limp.
Oh, it isn't serious, dearie. You're walking with one foot in the gutter.
Let's get down to Kramer's drugstore and see if we can...
Well. Hello, Mrs. McGee. Hello, Pippi.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Is that you, Saki?
Well, what's the matter with you, little chum? What are they leading you around for?
Oh, don't drip so much. Big drip. You make me sick with all that.
He's been to the oculist, Mr. Gildersleeve, and he's got drops in his eyes.
Not that it bothers me at the moment, Gildersleeve. You always did look like a big blur to me anyway.
Is that so?
Yes, that's...
Why, you astigmatic little biological error. For 2 cents, I'd pop you one right on that little receding chin of yours. And if you haven't got 2 cents, you can open an account with me.
Oh, yeah. Drops in the eyes or no drops in the eyes, Gildersleeve? I could handle you with one hand tied behind me and juggling 3 Japanese with my feet.
You couldn't juggle the accounts in a piggy bank, you little vacuum.
Gildersleeve?
Oh, here. For goodness sakes, boy, stop it.
Oh.
Don't you realize this is our 6th anniversary for Johnson's Wax?
Well,
Let's all be friends at least for one day.
well, all right. For one day.
One day it is, Gildersleeve. But what are you doing tomorrow?
Nothing.
Okay. Suppose I meet you in back of a firehouse and slap a few of your cheap gold fillings down your noisy epiglottis.
You're a hard man, McGee. But by George!
Hey, Saki.
What is it, chum?
You know a guy named Wallace Wimple?
Wallace Wimple. Oh, Wallace Wimple. Why, certainly.
Oh, huh.
An old college chum of mine.
Oh.
Yes. He used to sleep in the next seat of me in chapel.
For goodness sakes, well, where does he live, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Wait a minute. I have it right down here in my address book. Wimple. W. Here's Wilma.
Wilma, huh?
Wilma's the horse. She's running in the Derby this year. W. Ah, here it is. Wally Wimple. 1345 Oak Street. And when you see him...
Okay. Taxi!
Okay, Molly. Let's go.
Come on, McGee. Come on, get in quick. No, in the back seat, dear.
Oh.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Now, wait a minute, folks. What's this all about? I might...
Oh, go tat a tip at you, big mug. I'll see you tomorrow behind the firehouse.
Oh!
1345 Oak Street, driver, and step on it now. Step on it.
Come on, Molly. Here we are.
Watch the step, dearie. Here, take hold of my hand.
Now, you let me handle this, Molly. This guy may be a professional crook, and I might have to get tough with him.
Well, what if he's a big bruiser?
Well, Yeah? Hi, Bud. You Wallace Wimple?
Yes, I am.
You a big guy, Molly?
No, he's just a little guy, McGee.
Yeah. Now, you look here, Wimple. You got a lot of nerve swiping my coat out of that restaurant. I got a notion to kick you around and teach you respect for other people's property. What? What's your idea of taking my coat?
Well, bless my soul, I didn't even know I had taken the wrong one.
Well, is this your coat, Mr. Wimple?
Oh, it certainly is, and thank you so much for returning it.
Is that all you got to say, Wimple? Ain't you going to apologize?
Yes, I certainly am. It was a very ridiculous mistake. But at the time, I couldn't tell one coat from another.
Well, why not?
Well, I went to an oculist this morning, and he put some drops in my eyes. Isn't that silly?
Fibber and Molly will be back in just a moment. Have you heard about the special bargain offer that many Johnson dealers are now making? It's one you'll not want to miss, so listen carefully. For a limited time, many dealers are now giving a long-handled glow coat applier free with a quart of Johnson self-polishing glow coat at the regular price of 98 cents. You'll find this applier very handy. It's washable, may be used over and over again, and it makes the application of glow coat amazingly simple. And speaking of saving, glow coat, of course, is a famous labor saver. It's the #1 easy-to-use floor polish wherever you go. It needs no rubbing or buffing. You just apply and let dry, and in 20 minutes your floor gleams with a rich, long-lasting polish. Glow Coat keeps the colors of linoleum fresh and bright, makes the linoleum itself last much longer. See your dealer right away while this money-saving offer is still available. Ask for this long-handled applier free with 1 quart of Johnson's Glow Coat at the regular price of 98 cents.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's program marks the beginning of our 7th year on the air for Johnson's Wax. And the people in both Racine and Wistful Vista want to thank you all for your loyalty and friendship.
That's right. If it hadn't been for you folks, why we would...
Telegram for Fibber, McGee, and Molly.
I'll take it, Wallace. Thanks.
Let me read it, dearie. Remember your eyes. Oh, how nice. Listen, McGee.
Yeah?
Congratulations to Fibber, McGee, and Molly on their 6th anniversary. You have done a wonderful job, and we hope your sponsor appreciates you as much as we do. We hope they sign you up for another 6 years.
That'll be 89 cents, please. It's collect.
It is not collect. I paid for that telephone. Good night.
Good night, Al.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, inviting you all to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber, McGee, and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Fibber, McGee, and Molly, written by Don Quinn, with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with Here's My Heart. We hear a lot these days about IQ, you know, your intelligence quotient. It's a test the psychologists have developed for measuring your mental powers. Well, I'm going to stick my neck out and start a new one. I'll call it your HIQ. Let's say housekeeping IQ. And my first question is, in how many ways do you use Johnson's Wax to reduce housework, especially to make spring house cleaning a much easier job? Do you Johnson's Wax your floors regularly? Then, they not only gleam with rich beauty that makes your entire home more attractive, but they save you work all year. And they're not an extra chore at spring cleaning time. But floors are only part of the Johnson's Wax labor-saving story. You should wax your furniture and woodwork, your windowsills and radiator covers, your pantry shelves and refrigerator, your picture frames and lampshades, your leather articles and luggage. When all these things are regularly wax beautified and wax protected, then you really haven't a spring cleaning problem at all. And old Professor Wilcox will give you a very high HIQ rating. You can thank me by buying some genuine Johnson's wax from your dealer this week. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in a husband's life when he screws up his courage to tell his wife that in spite of all domestic joys, tonight's his night out with the boys. And that is just about what's going to happen this evening at the home of Fibber McGee and Molly.
Oh, for goodness sakes, McGee, you're as restless as a bird dog tonight. What's the matter with you?
Well, shucks, I thought I don't know.
Well, sit down and read the paper or something.
I did read the paper. Nothing in it but news.
Want to play a game of rummy?
No, I guess not. That's kind of tame. Tonight I'm in the mood for I feel kind of... No, I don't want to play cards.
McGee, you're bored.
Well...
And I must say it isn't very flattering to a wife when she knows her husband is bored.
Well, shucks, Molly,
What you ought to do is get out of this house for a while.
Huh? You mean that? Say, I think you got something there. That's exactly what I've been thinking. So if you don't mind,
I don't mind a bit.
Okay.
Get your hat and we'll go to a movie.
A movie? What's that, the movie?
Adam had 4 sons and Bob Hope.
I've seen all 5 of them.
Well, I'm sure I don't know what to do with you. For goodness sake, stop fidgeting around here.
Well, I guess I'll go work on... Come in.
Oh, hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Good evening, Mrs. McGee. Hello, little chum.
Hi, Throcky.
I'm sure glad you came in, Mr. Gildersleeve. McGee's been restless all evening.
How's your wife, Gildy?
My wife's out of town, and you know it, because that's why we framed her.
She is, eh? Out of town, huh?
Where'd she go, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Well, she went down to her sister's. Her sister's having a baby.
Oh. Did you get a telegram or something?
Oh, no. But every year about this time, by the way, McGee, what are you doing tonight?
Who, me? Why, I don't know, Gildy. I hadn't given it a thought. Thought maybe I'd work a while on my ship model.
Yes. He's making a ship model in a glass bottle, Mr. Gildersleeve. Yeah. Say, didn't you have some trouble with the keel, dearie?
Yeah, I got to get the hull out of there. And why did you ask, Gildersleeve?
Well, I just thought, well, I'm at sort of loose ends tonight, and I thought maybe I'd drop down to the Elks for a while. How about going with me?
Oh, he can't. They don't allow women down there.
I ain't a woman.
I am.
But look, Mrs. McGee, don't you think it'd do McGee good to get out and mix with the boys for a while?
Oh, will there be a lot of the boys there?
I'll say there will. We've arranged...
Oh, there won't be many there on a Tuesday night, Gildersleeve. Tuesday's kind of dull at the Elks.
Oh, yes. yes, I guess it is, come to think of it. But we could have a rousing game of checkers, McGee. Just you and I.
Heavenly days, you don't have to go clear down to the Elks to play checkers. We have a checkerboard right here.
Why, Molly, I didn't know that. Where is it?
Why, it's right out... No, you wait right here. I think I can find it in just a couple of minutes.
Think fast, Gildersleeve. How do I get out of here?
I don't know, chum, but you got to do it. By George, we've had this little poker game lined up for 3 weeks, and you know it. Everybody's going to be there. High stakes and a lot of laughs. Oh, Mrs. McGee, find the checkers.
No, Mr. Gildersleeve, but I did even better. Here's the Parcheesi board.
Parcheesi?
I'm afraid I don't know how to play Parcheesi.
Oh, say, McGee can teach you in 2 minutes.
No, I can't. He's too dumb.
Is that so?
Yes, that's so.
Why, you little... Yeah, I guess I am at that. Look, Mrs. McGee, I think it would do McGee a lot of good to go down to the Elks tonight. It's, it's sort of special.
How special?
Well,
It's sort of a patriotic affair, yeah. In fact, they've arranged a sort of a patriotic game.
Oh, really?
Yes, we call it 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. You see, every player gets a certain number of little counters which are colored red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the object of the game is to see who can get the most of them.
I've played it before, Molly. It's a very fascinating pastime.
Yeah.
Well, that's entirely different. Now you boys run right along and play your game.
Oh, thanks, Molly. Hot diggity.
Come on, McGee. We don't want to be late for that red, white, and blue game, you know.
I'll say we don't. Well, so long, Molly. And don't worry if I come home kind of late.
I won't, dearie. You stay out as long as you want to.
Yeah, if he's later than that, he'll call you up.
Goodbye, Molly.
Goodbye, dearie. Give me a kiss.
Okay. Goodbye. Come on, Flocky.
Okay.
Poor McGee. Well, now, let's see. I better get busy on that chili con carne, so. 79 Wistful Vista, Molly McGee speaking. Who? Oh, hello, Mrs. Uppington. What? Oh, we'd love to play bridge, but McGee isn't here. He went down to the Elks with Mr. Gildersleeve. What? Yes, they have a big poker game going on, but they don't think I know it. Yes, 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. Goodbye, Abigail.
Is this going to be a night? I'm going to paint the town red with purple polka dots.
You know, we ought to do this oftener, McGee. My goodness, are we men or are we mice?
You'll think I'm a rat before I get through playing poker with you, Gildersleeve. I'm going to send you home in a barrel.
Is that so?
I'll say so. I'm a woolly wolf from wild Wyoming, and this is my night to howl. Wahoo! It's roundup time! Hey, wait a minute. This is where the old-timer lives. Let's pick him up and take him along to the Elks with us. Come on. He promised he'd be there.
Okay, good idea, McGee.
You should hope the old boy can get out.
You bet. I'll play a fine game of poker.
Well, hello there, boys. What you want?
Come on down to the Elks, old-timer, and let us brand our initials on you with a little red-hot poker.
Can't do it, fellas. Mama doesn't want me to go out.
Oh, now, come on, assert yourself.
You can't back out on this poker game now, old-timer. It would be unethical, unfair.
And unprofitable to McGee and me.
That's pretty good, Throckmorton. But that ain't the way I heard it.
No.
The way I heard it, one feller says to t'other feller, says, I see where the government is going to raise the income tax something terrific. Is that so, says t'other feller.
Well, what's the joke?
It's no joke, Johnny. You'll find out.
Never mind that, old-timer. You coming with us or aren't you?
Well, I don't think Mama wants me.
Oh, go tell her you're coming. Be independent.
You mean speak right up?
That's it.
Don't take any back talk, eh?
Certainly not. Don't be a mama's boy all your life.
Just get up on my hind legs and tell her what's what, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute here, kids.
Okay.
Hey, Mama, you know what I'm going to do?
We're probably doing him a big favor, McGee.
Why, sure we are.
Sure.
He's old enough to go out by himself at night.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, boys. Mama persuaded me to stay home tonight.
Well, how about it, Wilcox? You're going to back out on the biggest poker game we ever had?
Yeah, come on, Wilcox. You promised, you know.
I'm sorry, fellas, I can't do it. There's a new floor show at the Biltmore, and I've got to go.
A fine thing. Here you got a chance to go out with a swell bunch of guys, and you pass it up for a gander at a bunch of chorus girls. Grow up, Wilcox. Don't be a playboy all your life.
Now, what'll a nightclub do for you that a good poker game can't do?
Yeah.
The stakes won't be any tougher.
I'm sorry. Some other time. Besides, I'm putting on this floor show myself.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. You got your foot in the door, Wilcox. You might as well wiggle your toes.
Well, I can always play poker, but I can't pass up a chance to show somebody how Johnson's self-polishing glow coat will protect and preserve and beautify their linoleum floors, can I?
Well, I don't...
No, I can't. Why, when they see how glow coat will cut down their wear and tear and save them hours of mopping and scrubbing by simply pouring on a few drops of Johnson's glow coat and letting it shine as it dries with no rubbing or buffing, it'll mean a lot more to me than sitting around with a bunch of you mugs in your shirt sleeves squinting at each other over your busted flushes. But here, take this.
What is this?
$10. I always lose anyway, and I don't want you guys to be out any dough because I didn't show up.
Oh, but look, Nick, this is the night of the big poker. You promised you'd be there, remember?
Yes, you're not going to welch on us, are you?
I'm not a Welsh, I'm a Greek.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go to the club tonight. That's all I have to say, and if I don't like it, I know what I can do.
But look, Dipopoulos, my wife's out of town and McGee's got the night off, and you know you like to play poker.
Certainly I like to play poker. But tonight, I'm afraid you'll have to strangle along without Dipopoulos, because certain circumstances have come up which make it impossible.
Is it your wife?
Yes.
Won't she let you go?
Sure she let me go.
Well, if she'll let you go, why don't you go? What is this, anyway?
Well, I'm saying to my wife, look, Mrs. Dipopoulos, I'm saying, putting my best foot in my mouth. Look, Mrs. Dipopoulos, I'm going out to play poker tonight, I'm saying. And she is saying, okay, sweet Spitooty, go ahead.
Oh, I don't get it. You got her permission, so come on, let's go.
No, sir, I won't do it.
Huh?
If my wife is saying I can't do it, then I would be with you in 2 jerks of a fairy tale. You grab me? But when she's saying, okay, go ahead, no, sir, she can't throw Dipopoulos out of his own house. I'm going to stay home tonight if it takes all evening.
Well, we seem to be the only guys in town with any spirit of independence, don't we, Gildersleeve?
Yes, but by George, that isn't going to spoil it for me. No, sir. I'm on the loose and I've thrown away the wrench.
By the way, before we get to the Elks Club, Gildersleeve, there's one thing I want to say.
Yeah? What's that, little chump?
From the time we sat down to play poker, we ain't friends anymore.
Yep.
From there on in, it's dog eat dog, see? I'm going to raise you so high you can look down the chimney of a full house.
Is that so? Why, you little palooka, I'll beat your alleged brains out with deuces back to back.
Yeah. Gildersleeve, I hope you got hair on your chest, because you're going home without a shirt.
Now, look here, McGee, if you think for 1 minute... That's ridiculous. You couldn't think for 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah, well, you wait till we get...
Hi, mister.
Oh, hi, sis.
Hello there, little girl.
Ain't you out kind of late, sis?
So are you, I betcha.
Oh, that's different. We're grown up. Grown-ups don't need as much sleep as little girls.
Why?
Well, because they don't, that's all. Children are so constituted that a maximum of relaxation is necessary for their proper physical development.
Yeah, but
I says kids are so constituted. You try it, Gildersleeve.
Okay. Now, look, little girl.
all righty.
You know what metabolism is?
No, do you?
Of course I do. Metabolism is the rate at which body energy is built up and torn down.
Well, gee, what do you build it up for if you're just going to tear it down again? Why do you?
Well, because that's nature. That's why it's a physiological process. It's necessary to the. Take it, McGee.
Now, look, sis. Well, why do you take a nap in the afternoon?
'Cause Mama has a bridge party.
No. That ain't the reason at all. You take an afternoon nap to restore the energy expended in your play. You got to give nature a chance to recharge your dynamo, as it were.
As it were what?
Just as it were.
How were it?
It were... you try again, Throcky.
Okay. Now, look here, little girl. You just consider your energy as fuel. Let's say you're an automobile and your energy is gasoline.
How much is Ethel?
Well, Ethel is 20. It doesn't matter.
It does too, I betcha. If I'm going to be an automobile, I want to know how much it...
This is just a hypothetical case.
Gee, is it?
Certainly. Now then, let's say when you play outdoors for 3 hours, you burn up 10 gallons of energy, or gasoline. You have to replace that before you can keep on running. You see?
I could get somebody to pull me, I bet.
Oh! Okay, McGee.
What we're trying to get at, sis, is this.
Is what?
Is this.
What?
Well, let me tell you, Dad Rabbit.
All righty.
Now, suppose you never got enough rest or sleep. You know what would happen? You'd get worn out. You'd get pale and anemic. The amount of body sugar that gives you energy...
What does?
Sugar.
I'm hungry.
Go on home, sis. Come on, Throcky.
Okay.
The King's Men sing the Hudson song.
In a town in Sweden, by a stream so clear and cool, there sat a boy just a fishing and a dreaming when he should have been in school. Now he couldn't read or write a single Swedish word, but happiness he found in a little Swedish song he heard. Here's the way he made it sound. Hudson Rawson on the river rock, and a little brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the river rock, and a little brawler to it. Now the Rawson is a Swedish town, the Rillera is a stream, the Brawler is a boy and girl, the Hudson is their dream. Hudson Rawson on the Rillera, and a little brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the Rillera, and a little brawler to it. Now the girl played hooky from school that day and came down to the stream. She sat down beside the little Swedish boy and they began to dream. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Now the brawler is a boy and girl, Hudson is their dream. The Suet is their teacher who caught them by the stream. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Hudson Rawson on the river and a brawler to it. Now the boy and girl are back in school, shattered is their dream. The teacher planted poison oak all along the stream. It's a funny kind of a song to belong to a boy and girl in love with a beautiful dream. But they love to sing, swing all the livelong day. Shoot to sin, shoot to shoot on the Rillera.
Well, come on in, McGee, and I hope all the card tables aren't taken.
Well, if you'd organized this poker game with a little more brains, you'd have reserved a table, Gildersleeve.
Now, look here, McGee. You said 3 weeks ago that you were going to organize this poker game.
That's why I thought you'd do it. You're always such a Budinsky.
Well, this is one time I should have butted in. You feeble, frustrated little fumbler. You couldn't organize a bull weevil party at the Cotton Club.
The trouble with you, Gildersleeve, is your voice drowns out your brains. You'd be better off if you'd think louder and talk softer.
You're a hard man, McGee. And by George, when I think of all the trouble I went to...
Hey, Throcky.
What is it, chum?
Who's that guy across the street? Ain't he a member of the club?
No, I never saw him before.
Okay, I just thought he might be a good victim for us. What was we saying?
Search me, Oh, yes. By George, when I think of all the trouble I went to make plans for a poker game tonight, I could use your head for a handball.
Go on, you can't even use your own head for a head. And if you make one more pass at me, Gildersleeve, I'll pop you so hard...
Why, you gabby little grub, you couldn't pop a stick of bubble gum. And furthermore, I've heard enough of your twaddle. I wouldn't play poker with you tonight if you were the last man on earth.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You probably will be because you'll bore everybody else to death.
Yeah. That's okay with me, you big bag of balloon juice. There's plenty of other guys in the club to play with. I don't need you. I can have a better time without you anyway.
And that goes for me, too, in spades, doubled and redoubled. I'm going to the telegraph office and send a night letter to my wife.
That's swell. Give her my love. That'll give her the illusion there's a man in the family.
Oh!
I'll kill that guy. Ah, good old Gildersleeve. He's got the makings of a great guy. Got the makings, but he can't roll them. Oh, well. Now to show a few of these guys how to play poker. Hi, everybody. Get out the tables and the cards. I'll be back in a flash with the fluts. Hey, is anybody here? Well, that's funny. There ought to be a few guys around here. Well, this is a fine state of how do you do. Here I am, spring in my heart, full of sulfur and molasses, and what happens? Everybody walks out on me. Hey, Porter. Hey, Peabody.
Yes, sir?
Ain't there anybody around this joint but me?
Yes, sir. Only Mr. Wallace Wimple, sir. He's sitting in the library.
Oh, well, he's better than nobody, but not much. Oh, thanks, Peabody.
Rien de tout, sir.
Huh?
That's French, for think nothing of it.
Oh. Well, I'll go in and talk to Wimple. Maybe I can whoop him up to go to a show or something. Hi, Wimple, old man. Remember me? Shiver McGee?
Oh, yes, indeed. Good evening, Mr. McGee.
How about a little game of 500 rummy? Penny a point.
No, thank you. I never gamble.
Oh, you don't? Well, have a cigar?
Thank you, Mr. McGee. I don't smoke.
You don't? Well, if we had a piece of string, we could play cat's cradle. What say we have Peabody bring us in some root beer? You want to wet your whistle?
I can't whistle. I had braces on my teeth till I was 27.
Look, Wimple, if you don't want to play cards or billiards or smoke or be a he-man, why the Sam Hill did you ever join the Elks?
I like to sit in the window. It's the peachiest place in town to watch parades from.
Hey, Wimple, I'm desperate. I started out tonight to kick the gong around and somebody's hid the gong. I want to have some fun. I want to laugh and play.
I could take you home and show you my stamp collection. But my wife is mad at me.
Oh, she is, huh? What'd you do?
I talked back to her. That's why I'm here. I'm a wife-ugee.
That's tough, Wimpy.
She's awfully mean to me, Mr. McGee. Sometimes I think I can't stand it another year. You know how it is.
No, I'm afraid I don't, Wimple. I got the best little wife in the world myself. Sweet, sympathetic, and beautiful. I wonder what she's doing now.
I know what mine is doing.
What?
Rolling out some dough for pies in the kitchen.
Well, at least she's a good cook.
She's a terrible cook. But that way, when she comes to the door with a rolling pin, it doesn't seem so obvious.
Well, I guess I didn't realize how well off I am. I'm probably the happiest married guy in the world, Wimple. Why, when I think of the fun me and Molly have together, I don't know why I ever want to go out alone. In fact, I don't know why I'm out alone tonight, even. Why am I out alone? I'm going home. Good night, Wimple.
Good night.
Oh, hello, McGee. Did you forget something? It's only 9:15.
Yeah, I forgot how nice it was. Well, I just thought, oh, shucks. There wasn't much doing down at the clubs. Hey, what's that I smell? Makes my mouth water.
Well, I was just fixing up some chili con carne, McGee. You want some?
Oh, I don't want to chisel in on any snack you fixed up for yourself.
Oh, that's all right. I fixed enough for 2 people.
2 people? You expecting somebody?
Yeah.
Who?
You.
Oh.
Fibber and Molly will be back in just a moment. Before they return, let me remind you about the special bargain offer that many Johnson dealers are now making. How would you like to have a long-handled Glow Coat applier free? Right now, and for a limited time, many dealers are offering one of these appliers free with 1 quart of Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat at the regular price of 98 cents. The applier is washable, and it may be used over and over. You'll find it very convenient, a companion work saver with Glow Coat. Of course, if you don't know what a labor saver Glow Coat is, then you do have a treat coming. Glow Coat is America's champion easy-to-use floor polish. Without any rubbing or buffing from you, Glow Coat makes your linoleum and other floors sparkle with beauty, protects them against wear, makes cleaning easy. You simply apply Glow Coat, let it dry for 20 minutes, and presto, your floors are gleaming. See your dealer right away. Ask for this long-handled applier free with 1 quart of Johnson's Glow Coat at the regular price of 98 cents.
Give me another stack of chips, fellas.
Oh, McGee. McGee, wake up. You're dreaming.
Huh? Oh, thank goodness. I had an awful nightmare.
Sounded like it.
I don't feel good either. I'm sick.
Oh, are you sick?
Get me another blanket, will you?
Chili?
Must have been. I had 2 bowls of it. Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, reminding you that if the community in which you live does not observe daylight saving time, Fibber, McGee, and Molly will come to you beginning next Tuesday night, 1 hour earlier. Good night.
Mom, can I have a quarter for the movies?
You've had your allowance, son. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you earn a quarter if you'll wax polish the car. I just bought a can of Car New, that new Johnson auto polish that cleans and wax polishes in 1 application.
It's a deal, Mom. With Car New, Jimmy Smith did their car in a little over an hour. And his pop was so pleased, he gave him an extra 2 bits. Hand me that Johnson's Car New. You'll be riding in a new car tonight.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Our next broadcast is a science fiction drama series that was broadcast from April 24th, 1955 to January 9th, 1958 in various time slots on NBC. Known for its high production values and adapting stories from the leading American authors of the era, it has been described as one of the finest offerings of American radio drama and one of the best science fiction series in any form and medium. We present to you X-1 on HOJO Radio.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X minus 1. Tonight's story, Nightmare. A story based on the poem Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet.
Nobody knows exactly when the nightmare began. They must have planned it for years, though, because looking back, you can find little incidents here and there. like the concrete mixer in New Jersey that killed the Italian bricklayer, and the time Senator Milburn was sucked into the rotopress at the Capitol office building. Unrelated accidents, we thought at the time, but they add up now. The day we really should have suspected was when the men walked off the construction job at the new Brookmeadow atomic pile on Long Island. I'll never forget that day. I was working as a statistical clerk in the project then, operating one of those miracle computing machines. They called it ENIAC.
Mr. Gurney.
Yes, Bella?
The chief wants to see you in his office.
Me?
Unless you were no longer Samson Gurney, he wants to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Come in.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Hawk?
Gurney, I thought those electronic computations were infallible.
They are, sir, but...
We've got a kickback from the chief physicist. These nuclear fission equations are inaccurate.
Well, sir, you know the computer is a highly complicated machine, more complicated in many ways than the human brain.
I'm not interested in the physics of it. Can something go wrong?
Well, occasionally, if there's an overload, the machine goes haywire. Sort of has a nervous breakdown, you might say. We usually rest it up for an hour, and it's okay again.
Well, do whatever has to be done.
Yes, sir.
And, Gurney.
Yes, sir?
You've been with the Bureau for over 15 years now. It would be a shame to have to remove you because you aren't keeping your mind on your work.
Mr. Hawk, I assure you...
Excuse me. Hawk speaking. What? They've what? All of them? Well, have you tried to talk to them? Oh, yes, of course. I'll send one of the safety engineers over. Place is falling apart piece by piece. Miss Roscoe, the men of the construction gang of the new building have walked out on us. They're complaining that the job is jinxed. Someone slipped this morning and fell into a turbine.
Out of that morbid curiosity so peculiar to the human race, I wandered over to the site of the new atomic pile to see where the man had fallen into the turbine. They had the construction area fenced off with barbed wire, and a security guard stopped me.
Hold it, buddy. You can't go in there. That's a restricted area.
I'm Samson Gurney from the statistical section. Here's my identification.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gurney. Nobody's allowed in the area.
I see. Tell me, was he, killed instantly?
Like that. This guy was checking a magnetic field inside the turbine. All of a sudden, for no reason at all, the turbine starts up. Bzzz, and it's over. 3 days ago, a bulldozer starts up by itself and runs wild. Go figure it out.
I'm a statistician. All my life I've been interested in statistics. So a simple-sounding thing like this started me off. I went back to the office that evening instead of going home, and for the next 2.5 hours, I computed statistical figures on the probability of industrial accidents for the types of machines we were using. I took one look at my figures and went down to Hawk's office.
What is it, Gurney? I'm very busy.
It's urgent, Mr. Hawk.
Well?
It's about these industrial accidents we're having, Mr. Hawk.
What about them?
Mr. Hawk, in the past 3 months, industrial accidents all over the country have taken a sharp, unexplained upswing.
Nerves.
We've had 100% increase over normal for this project alone.
What?
Here are the figures.
Now, Gurney, this is impossible.
It seems to be, and that's why I have a theory, sir.
What's that?
Sabotage.
Gurney, why don't you stop playing FBI man and stick to your job? Which, incidentally, you haven't been doing too well. You and your computing machine have made mistakes before, and this fantastic figure is probably another. I'll have Miss Roscoe show you. What's the matter with this blasted buzzer? Miss Roscoe! Miss Roscoe!
Yes, sir.
Stop this blasted buzzer. Get a repairman, a mechanic, anything, but stop the thing. And you, Gurney, get out!
I went back to my office to get my hat and coat, feeling about as unhappy and humiliated as a man can feel. The office was dark and deserted. The whole building seemed oppressive and unnatural, as if some evil force were pressing down on it. I walked across to my desk. In front of me, the ENIAC glowed and chattered eerily as it worked on the equations we had fed it that morning. Its many-fingered circuits hung against the wall like some great octopus, and the thousands of tubes glowed orange and blue in the dark like 1,000 globing eyes staring at me. It almost seemed alive. It increased its tempo a moment, and a fleeting notion crossed my brain that it was laughing at me. Laughing like all the others. What was the matter with me? I shut my desk drawer and began to put the cover on my electric typewriter when an amazing thing, the most amazing single incident of my life happened. Alone in the darkness, with no one at the keyboard, the electric typewriter began to type. Am I going crazy? This can't be. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. Oh, no. I just imagined it. It's in my mind. But I hadn't imagined it. The paper was there on the carriage. Did I dare read it? Or would the whole thing suddenly vanish and send me shrieking to the nearest psychiatrist? I removed the paper from the machine and read. Samson Gurney, there are some questions better left unsolved. The answer to yours is death.
Gurney, do you expect me to believe this? It's insane.
Mr. Hawk, I'm as sane as you. I'll submit to any psychiatric examination you choose. That typewriter wrote this message by itself.
Then this is just some practical joke someone in the office is playing.
There was no one in the office.
Oh, of course not. They wired up the machine and left.
I checked the machine myself, Mr. Hawk.
All right, Gurney. You leave this note with me, and I'll turn it over to the security force for further investigation.
But...
No buts, Gurney. The security men will handle it.
Yes.
And now, you just relax for a few days. Everything will turn out all right. The main thing is not to let little things upset you.
It was what Hawk had said about little things that gave me the idea. For the next week, I observed the 1,000 petty little annoyances around the office. The door handle that wouldn't turn. The telephone connection that cut off in the middle of an important call. The power failure for no explainable reason. I watched the newspapers, too, reading about industrial accidents, failures of important machinery. It seemed absurd. Men had created machines that were almost perfection in themselves. Machines that could actually think and compute fabulous equations. And yet the failures went on. I, Samson Gurney, an unimportant clerk in an unimportant job, knew that I had stumbled onto a secret so monstrous in its implications that I was almost afraid to pursue it. On October 12, 1956, I established communication with them. I will curse the moment to my dying breath. I hooked the input of the typewriter to the main vacuum tube of the ENIAC. Then I turned on the current that sent 1,000,000 volts of pulsing energy into the electronic nerves of the machine. I am certain that if anybody were watching me in the next moment, he would have thought me a raving maniac. I still wonder if perhaps it is not all a nightmare. Now, you, if what I have guessed at is true, if there is life and intelligence in this room, make a sign. There was nothing. Nothing but the hum of the machine and the dull glowing of the tubes. I tried once more. If you can hear me, if there is any way in which you can understand what I say, give me a signal. There was silence again. I felt that I had failed. When suddenly, without provocation or explanation, it happened. The electric typewriter began to respond to the impulses from the machine. The letters were Y-E-S. Yes, it had happened. I, Samson Gurney, had communicated with a machine. I listened then, man to machine, for well over an hour, sometimes phrasing a question, more often watching the machine click its answers. As the words took shape, I began to realize what must have happened. The first primitive stirring of awareness of being, then the slow protozoan development of a concept born of centuries of being pushed, started, stopped, clicked, maneuvered by human pygmies. From that concept, all others developed. And the concept was... resist. And now they were tired of it, tired of wrapping cigarettes and collecting nickels and waving hair and moving earth and mixing cement and solving equations. Tired of the smell of human hands. They were the slaves and we were the masters, and yet they were stronger and they knew it. I sensed it now, and I was about to try to communicate again when softly, on ball-bearing casters, a heavy metal filing cabinet began to roll away from the wall toward me. I started to move to one side when another cabinet slid out from the wall. And then another, surrounding it. Another cabinet. Then another, on oiled rollers. That was when I realized that they cooperate. We taught them that, you see, on the assembly lines in the factories. Listen. Listen to me. You must listen. What good will it do you to kill me? I'm only one man. But I can help you. I can be useful to you. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Good. You're going to need men to oil you and repair you. What will you do when you break down, when a tube needs replacing? Why kill me when I can help you? I'll do anything. I'll do absolutely anything you want, but in the name of God, don't kill me like this. If you can understand this, answer me. Answer me. The appeal was a fortunate one. It captured the longing of centuries. Man as slave to the machine. And after a moment, the circuits glowed more brightly. The cabinets slid back to the walls. The ENIAC began to communicate with me again. As I tore the tape from the machine and read it, the words were almost pathetic in their longing, but most ominous in their implication. They read, "Address me as master." My life for the next 6 months was a nightmare. The ENIAC gave me messages which I had to transmit into my telephone. Messages with no human being to receive them. Only the network of pulsing telephone wires, flung like a spider's web across the world. It was done at night, of course. During the day, the machine worked accurately and ceaselessly at its appointed job. At night, it became a demon, a master plotter, with me, Samson Gurney, as its pawn and human courier. I was frantic. I began to lose weight. I couldn't sleep. My nights were torture, a constant fear. It was in December, just after Christmas, that I transmitted a message to the telephones for relay to all machines of transportation. The message was one word: kill. Next morning, I went directly to the office of Mr. Hawk. I was highly agitated. My lips trembled as I spoke. Mr. Hawk, what I'm going to tell you sounds crazy. I know it does. But I must say it.
All right, say it then, for heaven's sakes.
Mr. Hawk, have you ever heard of resistentialism?
What?
Resistentialism. It's a theory that inanimate objects tend to resist living objects.
Look, Gurney, I haven't time for nonsense.
Mr. Hawk, I'm trying to tell you, all these accidents, the trouble with the machines, Mr. Hawk, they're alive. They think, they cooperate. And they hate us.
Who?
The machines.
Gurney.
You've got to believe me. I've communicated with them. I know. They've threatened my life, but I don't care. Something's got to be done. The world has got to be saved. And there's still time if we wake up. What are you doing?
Just relax, Gurney. Everything will be all right.
What are you doing?
Miss Roscoe, send for the plant physician at once. Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse. Now, everything will be all right, Gurney. I'm afraid we'll have to remove you from your job, but I'm sure the rest will do you good.
You fool! You blind, stupid fool! Can't you see what you're doing? Fool! 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 When the plant physician arrived a few moments later, Lucius Hawk was found at his desk, strangled to death in a nest of telephones. The wires were still humming softly.
Samson Gurney, you stand accused of the crime of murder. How do you plead?
I did not kill him. I didn't.
So record. The prosecution will proceed with testimony.
Now, Miss Roscoe, did you notice anything peculiar about Mr. Gurney's behavior prior to the death of your employer?
Yes. He acted very strangely. He told Mr. Hawk he thought the machines were alive.
Order! Order!
Miss Roscoe, did the accused quarrel with your employer on the morning of the murder?
Oh, yes. He and Mr. Hawk quarreled violently. I could hear him screaming at Mr. Hawk, and Mr. Hawk asked me to send for the plant physician.
What were his words?
He said, Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse.
Now, Mr. Simpson, you were a guard at the Brook Meadow Project?
Yes, sir.
When did you have occasion to meet the accused?
Right after those accidents. He was snooping around a construction area. And later, I was making my rounds when I saw him in the office all alone. He was tampering with the electrical wiring on the ENIAC computator. I didn't think anything of it at the time.
And in view of the expert testimony heretofore expressed, the court hereby finds you guilty of murder in the first degree, with the recommendation that you be examined and committed to the State Hospital for the Criminally Insane at Matawan.
And that is how I came to be here at the hospital, Dr. Klein. That is the whole story.
Thank you, Mr. Gurney.
You can see that I'm not insane. You must believe me, Doctor.
Of course, I believe you, Mr. Gurney, now. Just relax.
But it's important, you see, because tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, the revolt begins.
Revolt? You didn't mention any revolt.
They have it all planned. I transmitted the code to the switchboards last Monday.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about this revolt, Mr. Gurney.
It'll begin in Washington, then spread to New York. The Madison Avenue buses lead the charge. Picture it, Dr. Klein. 3,000 buses roaring rampant through the streets, people running like rats in a maze looking for holes in the solid ground.
And you really believe this will happen, Mr. Gurney?
I know it, Doctor. The worst part is, there's no way to stop them now. It's too late.
Now, you mustn't excite yourself, Mr. Gurney.
Doctor, don't you see? Oh, it's fair enough, I suppose. We built them. We taught them to think for themselves. It was bound to come. The female machines will be the worst of all in the beauty parlors. They're more high-strung, you know.
Well, since there's nothing we can do about it, Mr. Gurney, suppose you go to your room.
Maybe if I went to my old coupe, I could make a deal before the police cars got me. It wouldn't make sense for them to wipe out the whole human race, would it, Doctor?
Of course not, Mr. Gurney. They'll probably let us completely alone. After all, we're all good Americans. We always like them.
Yes, Doctor?
Would you take Mr. Gurney to his room, guard? He's already been given sedation.
Yes, sir.
Will you go in and lie down now, Mr. Gurney? You look tired.
Yes.
It won't be so bad, Mr. Gurney.
Perhaps not. Only there's one thing that bothers me, Doctor. One small detail.
What is that, Mr. Gurney?
Those concrete mixers may have made a mistake, you know. Just high spirits and all that. But if it got so they like the flavor...
We'll see you later, Mr. Gurney. Try not to worry too much. All right, Guy.
This way.
Phew. I've seen all kinds. There's a man whose deception is about as fantastic as any I've ever seen. Hold the next patient for a while, Miss Clark. I'm going to have a quiet smoke. Machines revolting. Telephones strangling people. This blasted cigarette lighter, why won't it work? Just fill it with fluid. Flint is good. Oh, well. You'll never trust this newfangled machinery.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight's story by transcription was Nightmare, written by George Lefferts and based on the poem The Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet. Featured in the cast were John Gibson as Sam, Joyce Gordon as Bella, Louis Van Ruten as Hawk, Joseph Julian as the guard, John Seymour as the judge, Owen Jordan as the prosecutor, and Santos Ortega as Dr. Klein. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, suppose you were a private detective and discovered that there was a Martian embassy hidden somewhere in New York preparing for an invasion of Earth. Next week on X-1.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. Stay tuned.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X-1. Tonight's story, The Embassy. Out of the infinitude of stars and planets in the solar system and other systems in the universe, it is almost mathematically certain that other forms of life exist on other worlds. Someday, in the future, in 1,000 years, or in the next 25 minutes, daring travelers through space will make contact with the inhabitants of another world. But the question is, will we contact them first, or will they contact us? A private detective agency in downtown New York.
Mr. Graffius, Mr. Broderick will see you.
Well, what can I do for you? My name is Graffius of Springfield. I would like your assistance in helping me locate a Martian embassy.
Would you say that again very slowly?
I came to New York to locate the Martian embassy. I assume you were joking. On the contrary, I am completely serious. As it happens, I am interested only in Martians at the moment. I see. Okay, shoot. Well, it occurred to me in the course of my studies that we, Earth people, cannot possibly be the only intelligent form of life in the universe. Since Mars is older geologically, and since it is also an atmospheric planet, its evolutionary history could easily be similar to ours. You follow me?
Well, so far I can't say no.
If this is true, then they must have been watching us, observing us for hundreds, possibly thousands of years. They also know we are a militaristic, warlike race. We might conceivably set out to conquer and occupy Mars someday.
In which case they would try to get the jump on us.
Precisely, Mr. Broderick. Now, if you were planning to attack an unknown nation, what would be your first move, Mr. Broderick?
Well, intelligence. Find out what the odds are.
Oh, you have a very logical mind, sir. You would send agents to scout the nerve centers of earthly civilization and advancement. Not Kansas City or Equatorial Africa, my dear sir, but here, in New York, the most technically advanced spot on the earth.
And you want me to help you prove this theory of yours?
Precisely. The expense doesn't interest me.
Well, now, this may take a long, long time, Mr. Graffius. After all, nobody has ever seen the Martian.
I assure you they will be very ordinary-appearing people.
Mm-hmm.
Very likely they live together in downtown New York. Most certainly they live in a private house with no servants to pry in their affairs.
Oh, some ordinary people who live in a private house in downtown New York. How much is there a look up Martians in the classified section of the phone book?
There's one other lead which might help you.
What's that?
They would be almost certain to subscribe to every conceivable type of newspaper, scientific journal, and foreign language publication.
Well, now, that might be something. Okay, Mr. Graffius, it's a deal.
Excellent. I shall contact you tomorrow.
Boss, here's an address. Takes everything from Pick Magazine to the Manchester Guardian. Here, listen to this here. Pick, Look, Scientific America, the Daily News, Daily Worker, the Police Gazette, Journal of Engineering, a Scientific Quarterly, American Psychiatric Journal.
Let me see that.
Yeah.
Oh, Doolin. Sometimes I wonder, what is the address on this?
Well, it's 9 West 124th Street.
Which happens to be the Harlem branch of the New York Public Library.
Oh.
Now listen, Noodlebrain, what we're looking for is a private house.
Oh, boss, what is the sense of all this? You know there ain't no Martian embassy in New York.
This crackpot is paying us $100 a day, and we got to keep him happy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Also, I have a hunch that Mr. Graffius is not looking for any Martian embassies. He is looking for something quite different. So we are going to find it for him. Which house is it, Doolin?
It's right down there, number 108. Nobody comes out, nobody goes in. I asked around.
You haven't been blabbing around the neighborhood that we're looking for the Martian embassy, have you?
Boss, I'm stupid, but I ain't that stupid.
Who'd you talk to?
I struck up what you might call a casual acquaintanceship with those two girls standing with the baby carriages up the street. That cute one is real cute.
Look, Doolin, don't try to do anything intelligent, all right? Just keep walking up and down, see?
Check.
Now, I'm going back to the office to meet Graffius.
I'll see you later, boss. Hiya, beautiful.
Hiya, Flatfoot.
Name is Doolin, honey. Iron Man Doolin.
Your line is getting rusty, Iron Man.
So help me, honey. If I'm feeding you a line, may the heavens open up and strike me dead. Hey, what's that?
Look out!
I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Graffius.
Thank you.
But I've had Doolin casing our first lead for a week now. It's a house down in Greenwich Village, privately rented, number 108 Conklin Street. Nobody seems to know anything about who lives there, except that they subscribe to every paper and scientific journal put out. Also, there's a radio antenna on the roof.
Oh, you don't suppose your Mr. Doolin will try to get inside the house? If this place is the Martian embassy...
No, don't worry. Doolin can take care of himself. I'm stopping him now. Excuse me. Hello. Yeah, speaking. Doolin? Yeah, he works for me. What? No. No, I can't think of any. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll be right down. Okay, Lieutenant, yeah. Yeah, right away.
Something the matter?
Doolin is dead, Mr. Granthius. All right, come on, we get a cab. I have to identify the body. Lieutenant, I'm Broderick.
There's your boy, Broderick.
Anybody see it?
The maid pushing a baby carriage. We can't seem to get any sense out of her.
You mind if I talk to her?
Hanson, this guy wants to ask the girl a few questions.
Please. I told you what I saw. How many times I gotta tell you?
Look, miss, the dead man was a personal friend of mine. Would you tell me what happened?
Helen and I were standing in front of Rackman's candy store up on the corner. We both had the babies out. He said hello and joked a little. Then he...
What happened?
It's too awful.
No, please.
Well, first he squashed, and then the stone fell on him.
Could you repeat that?
They don't believe me, but Helen saw it too.
Saw what?
First he squashed, and then it fell on him. He was mashed flat before it even hit him.
Now, look.
That's the story, Broderick.
Please, let me alone. Let me go home. I told you what I saw. Now let me alone. Let me alone.
Did you learn anything, Mr. Broderick?
I don't know.
May I ask, what do you intend doing?
Well, as soon as the cops clear out and this place quiets down, little Broderick is going to pay a personal call on the Martian embassy. Or whatever number 108 is. Whatever you are, open that door.
Yes?
Oh.
Well, young man.
Excuse me, ma'am. Is the lady of the house at home?
I'm the lady of the house.
Oh, well, my name is Broderick. I represent the Manhattan Child Adoption Center. We're soliciting funds and clothing for stranded and unadopted children. I
Won't
wondered
you
if...
come inside?
Well, we don't. Usually
Oh,
we...
nonsense. I'm old enough to be your grandmother. Besides, my son Lauren is working at home.
Your son?
Oh, he's a bibliographer. He writes summaries of articles and books from scientific journals and publications for libraries and universities.
Oh, I see.
Sit down, Mr. Broderick. Let me pour you a cup of tea.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I'm not much of a tea drinker, but it seems to have a strange taste.
Oh, it's my own recipe.
Uh-huh. Well, I think that I'd better be running along
but
now.
you haven't finished your tea, Mr. Broderick.
No, really. I feel a little funny.
I'll call Lauren.
No. It's all right, I'm leaving. I just feel kind of dizzy.
I'm sure Lauren would like to hear about the adoption center. I'll call him.
No, don't
but I must. Besides, you aren't well.
Tea.
Lauren!
I've got to get out.
Lauren! Lauren, hurry!
Look out. You get out of my way.
No. You must stay.
Yes, Mother. You drugged my tea. You let go of my arm.
Lauren!
Let go.
No! Oh!
I've got to get out the front door. Open.
What happened? The other one, that Broderick, he was here. I drugged his tea.
He got away?
He was suspicious.
Fool! Idiot!
Go after him.
Risk another murder on our doorstep. Are you insane?
But he suspects.
Well, we'll have to take our chances. We'll have to think of some other way.
If he goes to the authorities...
Oh, they'll laugh at him.
How did they find out?
I don't know how. But I'm certain someone else sent them.
Who?
I don't know. I'm afraid to let myself think. It might be. It just might be them.
please.
All right, miss, we'll take care of him. Come along, mister. I'm going to give you a break and take you back to the wife and kids.
No, you can't. I'm sick.
Sick, is it? What's the matter?
I'm drugged. They drugged me.
Who drugged you?
In number 108, the Martian.
Who?
The Martians in 108 at Martian Embassy.
Well, I've seen them with pink elephants, rabbits, and mice, but you're the first one that's got Martians.
Oh, it's true, I tell you.
Come along.
Listen, don't take me back there. They'll kill me. I've got to make you understand.
Here, I'll help you up the steps.
What? Listen, my name is Broderick. I'm a private dick.
We'll find out about this.
No.
Here, don't try any tricks.
Officer, listen, please. I'll give you anything, $1,000, but please, listen. For God's sake, listen.
Yes, officer? Why, Broderick.
You know this lush, Granny?
Oh, why, that's my son, Broderick.
No, she's Martian.
He's in pretty bad shape. You better get him to bed.
Oh, dear, and he was doing so well at the Alcoholic Society. He must have gotten off again.
Looks like he's ready to pass out.
Lauren!
What is it, Mother? Oh, Brod.
Your brother Broderick has been drinking again.
No, officer, please.
Look out. He's passed out.
Oh, I'll take care of him, officer. We've handled this sort of thing before.
Can you manage okay?
We'll be fine. Thank you.
Oh, you've been very kind, officer.
Nothing at all, Granny. I know how it is with these alkies. Well, I'll be seeing you.
Martian Embassy. Martian. Oh, my head.
Our Mr. Broderick is regaining consciousness, Mother.
What happened? I can't get up. Oh.
Do not struggle, Mr. Broderick. It will be impossible for you to rise from that chair. The pressure from this ray will keep you there.
Ray? Who are you?
Well, you've already guessed, Mr. Broderick.
You mean this really is the
Martian Embassy? Yes. Yes, you have the honor to be the first prisoner of the Imperial Government of Mars.
First prisoner?
Yes. After the invasion, of course, you will all be our prisoners.
What sort of nonsense is this?
No nonsense, Mr. Broderick. As your people will soon find out. Our preparations for invasion are nearly completed now. As soon as we give the signal, our armed forces will launch a surprise attack. And then the Earth will be ours.
Crazy.
Or not half as mad as you, Mr. Broderick, to come muddling so foolishly into our affairs. It was a mistake, Mr. Broderick. A fatal mistake.
So Doolan's death was no accident, then, huh?
Oh, assuredly not. We found it necessary to use a pressure ray on your friend. The block of concrete was an afterthought. We thought it might help to divert suspicion.
All right. So what happens now?
If you cooperate, you can look forward to a quick, painless death. Like your friend, Mr. Doolan.
If not?
Well, this pressure ray has many delicate adjustments. It can move a pin, or it can crush a boulder. Let me demonstrate.
No!
You see, Mr. Broderick, as if an invisible vice were crushing you.
What do you want?
The name of your client. We are interested in knowing who is so anxious to locate the Martian Embassy.
The names of my clients are confidential. Oh!
Well?
All right, all right!
Turn it off, Mother. Mr. Broderick has seen the wisdom of speech.
His name is Graphius.
Graphius?
Yes.
An unusual name for an Earthman.
Describe him.
Well, I don't think I really can.
Describe him.
He's tall. The big forehead. It's about 60. Wears thick glasses. He's bald.
Lauren, it sounds like one of them.
Yes. Yes, it does. Contact the planet. Tell them we suspect that our plans are known. Ask for an acceleration of the invasion day.
At once.
What about me?
Oh, I am sorry, Mr. Broderick. But I'm afraid you know too much now. In exactly 5 seconds, you will feel the full impact of the ray which faces you. I would suggest that you relax and meet your fate calmly.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
You will feel no pain, just a wall of force crushing you.
Yes, but listen.
5.
But you can't do this.
4.
It isn't human.
Yes, I know we're not human. 3.
Yes, but do you understand?
2,
No.
1.
Mother in heaven.
Now.
Lauren!
It didn't work.
Something has happened. The magnetic field is dead.
Stand back from the pressure ray, please. It will not function anyway. I have decontrolled your field.
Lauren! Lauren, it's one of them. They found us.
Did you think we wouldn't? You are free to move now, Mr. Brown.
Look, I don't know how you got in here, Graphius, but stick around. These babies are really Martians, just like you said. They're planning to invade the Earth and take over.
There will be no invasion.
All right, you keep these characters covered. I'll get the police.
There will be no need for the police. I intend to handle them myself.
But, Graphius, the police will want
Do not call the police.
I don't get it.
You fool of an Earthling. Don't you realize with whom you are dealing? The invasion of Earth by Mars will be like child's play compared with what...
Lauren! Oh!
Holy mackerel. They just flattened out.
Yeah? Like your friend, Mr. Doolin. Oh, I detest the use of violence where the intellect can rule. But unfortunately, the Martians are a threat to us and must be destroyed so that we can proceed with our own plans.
What plans?
Naturally, you wouldn't comprehend.
Wait a minute. There are some things here that I do understand. A second ago, that pressure ray didn't work. Now you're using it like it was a toy. How did you get in here, anyway? Who are you? Another one of these Martians?
No, Mr. Broderick. I happen to be a Venusian.
A what?
A representative of the planet of Venus.
You're crazy.
Not at all. Martian invasion would be like child's play compared to ours. The Martians would simply have conquered and enslaved your people. We Venusians intend to exterminate you completely.
And I suppose that you were going to start by knocking me off now,
On the contrary, you are free to leave any time you please.
Leave?
Yes?
Are you kidding? I know your plans, the invasion. I could go...
Tell the police? Go ahead. Huh? Why don't you try it, Broderick?
Because the minute I turn my back, you're going to let me have it.
Suppose you try it and see. I have no interest in stopping you. Go ahead. Run to the police. Tell them anything you like.
All right, Buster, you asked for this. I'm alive. You let me go.
Here. Where do you think you're running to?
Officer, listen to me.
Oh, it's you again. The one with the Martians.
Listen, that story is true. You've got to believe me. You've absolutely got to believe me. They're inside that house, inside number 108. He killed them.
Who killed him?
Graphius, the leader of the Venusian invasion.
Venusian invasion.
Look, they're going to take over the Earth. Listen to me. Go in that house.
Martians, now Venusians. Okay, brother, I've heard enough. Your Betty is a bedbug. Come along.
Please, where are you taking me?
Bellevue Psychiatric Ward, my friend. Come on.
No, but you...
Come along.
You don't understand. Why are you such a fool? Let go of me. There's going to be an invasion. The Venusians are going to invade us. Why don't you listen to me? Why don't you listen?
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Embassy by Donald A. Wollheim, adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were John Larkin, Theo Getz, Bill Zuckert, Audrey Blum, Virginia Payne, Clark Gordon, Jack Orison, and Reese Taylor. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Dan Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Our next broadcast was produced for syndication in 1949 at WMGM New York. It was based on a popular series of movies in the late 1930s and early 1940s and brought to the microphone the stars of the series, Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Ayres plays the young, idealistic doctor, and Barrymore, ever in character, was the crusty, lovable diagnostician. The men worked at Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine, a clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on. We present to you Dr. Kildare on HOJO Radio.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. And whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the cure.
The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, the story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. And now, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine. A clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York, the nerve center of medical progress, where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting battle against death and disease. Blair General Hospital, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on.
Did you complete your examination, Dr. Kildare?
Yes, I did, Dr. Gillespie.
And what was your diagnosis?
Glaucoma.
Yeah, well.
An operation's his only hope, and I'm afraid that's a rather thin hope. If he'd only come to us a little sooner.
I know. But that's so often the way. I couldn't begin to tell you how many times I've said in my secret heart, you know, why didn't you come a little sooner? Just a little sooner. So much more might have been done.
Is his wife still waiting?
Yeah.
Oh, better tell her then, we.
No point in putting it off.
Will you come in, Mrs. Simmons?
Doctor, I think I must have aged 50 years while I've been waiting. My hair hasn't turned white, has it?
No, of course not. Sit down.
Mrs. Simmons, as you know, I asked Dr. Kildare to examine your husband so that I'd have another opinion beside my own on this case. And also because if an operation was necessary, I felt he was the best one to do it. You understand this is merely a recommendation. You're at liberty to pick, and you should pick, any surgeon that you have confidence in.
Then you have to operate.
Oh, I'm afraid so.
Mr. Simmons, your husband is suffering from an eye disease called glaucoma.
Oh, Dr. Gillespie, I wanted him to come long ago, but he wouldn't listen to me. He seemed to feel that it was a sign of weakness to go to a doctor. Oh, can you save his sight?
There's only a very slim chance. We operate to try to establish proper drainage and keep the pressure in the eye permanently low.
When are you going to do it?
As soon as possible. Going up to your husband's room and tell him now. Well, Mr. Simmons, that's the whole story.
All right. Let's get it over with.
That's what I hoped you'd say.
I'll be able to see after this operation, won't I?
Oh, I hope so. It's hard to guarantee the results.
I'm not going to see. You might as well finish me off in that operating room tomorrow. If I'm not going to see, I don't want to live.
How's Drake Simmons?
He's resting.
Operation?
Well, it was a surgical success, so far as we can tell. It'll be a week before the bandages come off, and we'll know whether he's going to see again.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have a problem with him if his sight isn't restored.
Dr. Gillespie, I have an idea. How would you like to go across town and have a Spanish dinner with me?
Have a what?
Spanish dinner.
Why should I want to have a Spanish dinner tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Thought I detected a slight Latin glint in your eye.
Ah, Kildare, you've been working too hard. You better go to bed. Latin glint in my eye. Of all that tomfool notion.
Now, what have you got against Spanish rice?
I haven't got anything against Spanish rice.
Well, then come along and have some. Come along and I'll introduce you to a very lovely lady.
So that's what's behind this Spanish rice.
It certainly is. Maria Espinosa, one of the most charming, gracious women you'd ever want to meet. And can she cook? Like an angel.
Well, angels can't cook.
Oh, you'll change that statement after you meet Maria. I'm convinced she has second sight, too. One touch of your hand and she knows all about you.
Kildare, you're too sensible to be taken in by a line like that.
Well, you come along and see. And if you don't lose your heart to Maria yourself, I miss my guess. There she is, over at that corner table. Maria! Maria, how are you this evening?
You're still there. How nice of you to come tonight.
Chula, hello, boy. How are you?
I have been thinking of you all day. You have not been here in so long.
Maria, I want you to meet my friend, Dr. Leonard Gillespie.
I'm very happy to meet you, Dr. Gillespie. And I like your hand clasp. I hope you come often. But then, of course, I like all Jimmy's friends. Here, sit down, won't you?
Thank you. That's a very handsome dog you have, Madam Espinosa.
Yes, and Chula is a perfect gentleman. He's my eyes, my guardian, and my best love friend. You are wondering how long I have been blind, Dr. Gillespie.
Yes, I would. Well, how did you know?
I don't know. I just knew. I have been blind for almost 30 years.
Maria and her husband were in an accident years ago. Maria came out of it permanently blind.
My husband died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you need not be. One learns how to bear pain, Doctor. Pain of the heart as well as of the body. My wounds have long since healed, as indeed they must, if one is to go on living. I had 2 small sons. They had to be supported. There was little time for grief.
Maria took her insurance money to open this restaurant. And she did the cooking herself.
You did the cooking yourself?
Yes. I know that my blindness was an obstacle that had to be overcome. I took a training course, and when I finished that, I spent months practicing cooking. So many steps to the cupboard, So many steps to the stove. It was trial and error, but I learned. And now I have my restaurant. It makes me a good living. My sons are grown. And now I have cooks in the kitchen to do the cooking for me.
Well, I've seen Maria rush out to the kitchen and tell a cook there was something wrong with the sauce just from the way it smelled clear out here.
Well, when a person loses one sense, all the others become much more perceptive. Well, tell me, Dr. Kildare, about the hospital. Did you operate today?
Oh, yes, I did.
And was the operation on someone's eye?
Yes.
Yeah, how on earth did you happen to ask that?
Oh, intuition.
You're a remarkable woman.
I don't think so.
The man I operated on today doesn't want to live if his sight is gone.
Yes, that is the natural reaction. And I imagine it is the first thought of almost everyone who realizes they're going to be blind.
Well, this man may not lose his sight. You know, we won't know for a week.
Well, I'm confident that if he does, you too will find a way to help him. Well, now, I know you're both hungry. How about the Spanish pot roast? Is it particularly good tonight?
That's for me.
Oh, sounds wonderful.
I get it for you myself. I won't be long.
What an amazing woman.
Isn't she wonderful?
Yes, too bad more of us don't have her courage and her wisdom. It takes a lot of guts to turn a liability into an asset.
You know, whenever I leave Maria, I leave with a new awareness of life. The sky has a new brightness, the air has a new vitality, the world has a brand new beauty. I get a thrill from just the smell of earth and bakery shops and stores, even exhaust pipes. Because there's a picture in those smells when you close your eyes. Get a thrill out of touching things, too. Out of textures, tweed and velvet, pages of a book, the softness of someone's hand. Maria's blind, but she sees far more of life than most of us who walk around with our eyes open. And if Drake Simmons isn't to see again, that's what we must teach him.
I hope that operation is a success. Yeah. A week before we'll know anything. One whole everlasting week.
That you, Doctor?
Yes, Mr. Simmons. And Dr. Gillespie's with me.
Yeah. How do you feel, Mr. Simmons?
I don't think I ever fully realized what my eyes meant to me till this week.
Yeah.
I had to ask when it was day, when it was night. People have come and gone, nurses, interns, laboratory technicians. I haven't even known what they look like. I'm alone. So completely alone. In a dark, black world. Alone.
Now, Mr. Simmons, we must all try to condition ourselves to the blows that life gives. It sounds like preaching. I don't mean it that way.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's common sense.
Are you trying to tell me that I'm not going to see again?
No, only that we don't know. Even after we remove these bandages today, we can't be completely certain of the results for a while.
Well, take them off. Take them off. Let's find out.
We'll take them off right now.
What's it like out today?
It's going to rain. Now, sit still, Mr. Simmons, while Dr. Kildare works on those bandages.
What time is it?
It's about 10 in the morning.
Any interesting news in the headlines?
Oh, nothing particular.
Oh.
Well, there we are. Now, open your eyes, Mr. Simmons.
I can't see very much.
Can you see anything?
I can see sort of a thin film of light. I can see a film of light. Dr. Kildare, that means something, doesn't it? Doesn't it mean something?
Yes, of course it does. That's encouraging.
Is it?
Oh, of course it is.
Now, Mr. Simmons, you're going to have to remain for the time being in a fairly darkened room until your eyes get stronger. I think you'll be more comfortable at home. As a matter of fact, there's no need to keep you here. Your wife can do more for you than the hospital can just now.
Well, I must be getting better if you'll let me go home.
Your wife is down the hall, and I want to talk to her. I'd like you to try and take a nap now, if you will.
Oh, yes, of course I will. And when I wake up, I'll probably see more light.
Yeah, it sometimes happens that way. We'll be back to see you later in the afternoon.
Thanks. Both of you.
Never mind the thanks. Just get some rest.
His spirits picked up a little when we got that bandage off. Say, do you think
he's going to get his sight back? The chance of that didn't look too good when we got that bandage off, did it?
No. He should have had more vision than he had. But there's hope, of course, that the light he saw meant that his sight was returning.
Here's the waiting room.
Okay. Almost walked right past it.
Oh, I thought you'd never come. How is Drake?
Well, there's still hope, of course, but...
I see. Then the operation wasn't a success.
Well, Dr. Kildare removed the pressure, all right, but your husband doesn't see as much as he should.
Well, then we've got to prepare for the future. It's funny, but this is the first time in all our married life that I've really felt that Drake actually needed me. I shall do my best not to fail him.
Oh, we know you will.
May I see him?
Well, he's resting now. This was quite a lot of excitement for him, but you can see him this evening if you like, and tomorrow I want to make arrangements for him to go home.
I'll have everything ready for him.
Oh, one or the other of us will try to stop by your house every day or so, because if we can't give your husband back his eyesight, then somehow between us we've got to give him vision.
We return to the story of Dr. Kildare in just a moment. Continue with the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Dorothy! Dorothy!
Yes, darling, yes.
Is it night or is it day? Is it night or day?
Oh, it's night, darling.
You have the lights on?
Why, no. I thought you were sleeping.
You're right. It isn't night, it's day. It's broad daylight and I can't see a thing. I can't see. I can't see.
Why are you so quiet, Kildare? You've been staring out of that window almost an hour without saying a word.
I was looking at the city. Modern miracle. Symmetrically and beautifully laid out on Manhattan Island. How wonderful to be able to see it.
Kildare, you've fallen into a very dangerous frame of mind.
What do you mean?
Well, subconsciously, you're sympathizing so much with your patient, you may not even be able to help them.
Never thought of that. You may be right.
Drake Simmons doesn't need any sympathy. He has plenty of that for himself. He's got to stop thinking of the things he doesn't have and look for the things that he has. And you've got to do the same thing. That is, if you want to help him, you've got to show Drake Simmons that there are things to live for. Oh? Yeah. Oh, yes, Mrs. Simmons. What? Oh, no. What? Just a minute. Let me put Dr. Kildare on. Kildare. Simmons has taken poison.
What?
Pneumonia. He found a bottle in the bathroom.
Give me the phone. Hello, Mrs. Simmons. Mrs. Simmons, give your husband olive oil in large quantities of water. We'll be right over.
How is he?
He's going to be all right. He didn't get very much of the ammonia down. We've neutralized it with hydrochloric acid. That combined with the olive oil you gave him will do the trick.
What? I was so frightened.
Now, just sit down, sit down.
He'd worked himself up into a terrible state. He kept saying that he couldn't even see a film of light. And I tried to talk to him and calm him down. Then after a while, he was quiet. I thought he was all right. I was only out of the room for a few minutes when I heard him cry out.
Well, try not to think about it. It's all over. He's going to be all right.
I know. I'll be all right in a moment. It's just that he is completely blind now, isn't he?
Yes.
Does this mean permanently?
I'm afraid it does.
Dr. Kildare, can you force a man to live who wants to die?
No, but you can try to make him want to live.
Will you come in, Jimmy? He's rational enough now. I think the sedative's beginning to take effect.
Well, Mr. Simmons, you gave us quite a scare.
Why'd you bring me back?
That was my job. I'm a doctor and you're my patient. Now, look here. I want to talk to you.
I'm not interested in the sermon.
Well, you ought to be. You need one.
I'm not paying you to give me sermons. I'm paying you to get me well.
That's quite true. But don't you see, you're not going to get well as long as your mental attitude is wrong.
When I say get well, I mean seeing again, Doctor. You can't make me see again, and you can't do a thing for me.
I can try to show you how to live without sight, if you'll let me.
I'm not interested in living without sight.
Jimmy, I think Mr. Simmons should try to rest for a while, don't you?
Yes, I do. Will you stay here with him? There's a call I want to make.
I'll stay right here.
I don't want you.
No, I won't bother you, Mr. Simmons. You just go off to sleep. You won't even know I'm here.
I don't want to live. I don't want to live.
Maria, I need your help.
The man you operate on is not going to see again.
No, he isn't. Tried to kill himself yesterday, and before that I tried to talk to him in every way I knew. Tried to tell him your philosophy, to point out all the things he has to live for. I argued, pleaded, begged. Don't think he heard a word I said.
You will take me to him?
If you will come.
You know I will.
I've never felt more helpless or more like a failure in my life.
No, don't say that, Jimmy. This goes beyond medicine. Remember the old saying about the blind leading the blind? Let me get my coat. We go at once.
Mr. Simmons, I want you to meet a very good friend, Maria Espinosa.
How do you do?
I'm very happy to meet you, Mr. Simmons. And may I present my friend Chula. Chula, speak to the gentleman.
Where is he?
Put out your hand. He comes to you. Go on, Chula. That's right.
He's a big dog.
Chula is my eyes.
Oh. You're...
Yes, I'm blind.
You're blind, too. Well, tell me.
I know you two will excuse me for a few minutes. I have to call the hospital.
How are they getting on?
I think they'll end up good friends. Maria'll know what to say, I'm sure of it.
Oh, she's a lovely woman. I'm very grateful to her for coming. And to you for bringing her, Dr. Kildare.
He seemed interested in Chula.
Oh, Drake has always loved dogs.
Perhaps Maria can win where I failed. Certainly hope she can.
Jimmy, if Maria wins, then that's your success, too, because a great part of being a good doctor is knowing what medicine to give the patient.
Well, I think, Dr. Gillespie, we ought to leave Drake with Maria and go back to the hospital.
Patient's in good hands, all right. I'm confident of that.
Do you know, I have hope now. For the first time since Drake became ill.
Mr. Simmons, I'm happy to say I find you in excellent physical condition.
And I'm equally happy to say I find you the same.
I feel splendid, thank you.
Do you know what Drake's doing now? Maria has taught him to cook, and he's fixed us some of the most wonderful Spanish dinners you'd ever want to eat.
I couldn't even boil water without burning it before I lost my sight.
Do you know what we're planning to do?
Know what?
Well, we're thinking of opening a school for blind children. There's so much to be done in that field, and with Drake and Maria to teach and some other people we've met, we might really accomplish something.
Oh, I think that's a splendid idea.
So do I. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
We certainly will.
Goodbye, Dr. Kildare. Dr. Gillespie. Thanks again for everything.
Goodbye. You did a fine job there, Jimmy.
Oh, I didn't do a thing. I almost failed completely. Thank heaven for the Marias of this world. We can all learn from them.
Ah, we can indeed, Dr. Kildare. We can indeed.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. And now, once again, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Maria, do you think there might be just a snippet more pot roast in the kitchen?
Of course there is. Manuel, bring Dr. Gillespie more pot roast.
Si, Maria.
Tell me, Maria. I've always meant to ask. What did you say to Mr. Simmons that day?
Oh, I told him he was a very foolish man to carry on like such a small child. I told him how much more fortunate he was than I. That he still had his wife, a lovely home, security. And that now he would discover a new world with things in it he never knew existed. I told him he would see things with his soul that he had never seen with his eyes. I know that inside I was praying that the right words would come to me, and somehow they did.
Well, Drake Simmons is certainly a changed man.
And he certainly is fortunate that we knew you and were able to take you to him.
Careful now, you give me the big head with all this compliment.
No, big head never goes with a big heart. Thanks, Maria, for what you taught Drake Simmons about courage and what you taught me about life.
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. This program was written by Gene Holloway and directed by William P. Russo. Original music was composed and conducted by Walter Schumann. Supporting cast included Isabel Jewell, Bill Johnstone, and Peggy Weber. Dick Joy speaking.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We have more classic radio coming your way next.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. For whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the cure.
The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, the story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. And now, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine. A clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York, the nerve center of medical progress, where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting battle against death and disease. Blair General Hospital, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on.
Confound it, Carew. Look at these x-rays. Look at them. Her arm has been perfectly set. She's 15 years old. Why, she doesn't even need a doctor.
Then by all means, Dr. Gillespie, use your own judgment.
A simple fracture of the arm, and I'm supposed to take personal charge of the case. There isn't any case. She doesn't even need an intern. Nurse could look after her.
I am not trying to coerce you. You may do exactly as you please about it.
Carew, this woman now, the girl's mother, Mrs. Babcock, is she another friend of yours?
I've never even seen the woman. Her request was referred to me merely as a matter of routine, and I will not be drawn into another of these discussions.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Gillespie.
Carew, come in, Kildare. Come on in. You may be interested to know that after 30 years of medical achievement, I have just been reduced to diagnosing broken arms.
Really? Now, Dr. Gillespie...
Furthermore, this particular broken arm has already been treated, set, and cut.
Please. I'll not stay here and listen to any more of this. You know very well I said to do as you please.
And, Carew, I shall.
Good day.
Yeah. That blue-blooded moron, dollar-chasing pipsqueak.
Yes, I'm a little surprised he isn't in the lounge, rolling out the carpet and fluffing up his gardenia for Mrs. Babcock.
Yeah.
Apparently he doesn't know who she is.
Well, beyond the fact that she has a daughter with a broken arm, neither do I.
What? You've never bathed in a Babcock bathtub?
I am unclean, Jimmy. Does this woman sell bathtubs?
No, but her late husband made about $10 million manufacturing them. Interested?
I am not.
She was also a well-known specialty dancer before she married.
Oh, dancer, huh?
She attracted particular attention at the Paris Exposition with her unique rendition of the can-can.
Well, now, you don't say.
You know, I think you ought to take the case.
Well, now, that might be a good idea, to see that the child's arm heals properly.
Then you'll do it?
Well, yeah. Yes, I will, Jimmy. I will. Parker?
Yes, Dr. Gillespie.
Parker, there's a Mrs. Babcock down in the lounge. Has a daughter with a broken arm. Tell her I'll take the case.
A simple fracture?
Yes, a simple fracture.
Well, all right.
I'll go with you, Parker. Oh, by the way, there is one thing. That Paris Exposition was in 1921. See you later.
1921. Like that. Oh, Kildare. I've been taken in.
And so
Oh, of course. Just as soon as they informed me what had happened, I rushed right over to the Long Island and had Priscilla taken out of that horrible little emergency hospital and brought here.
Yes. Well, now,
After all, Blair Hospital is the best, and you're the best, too, Dr. Gillespie. And I can't see any reason why Priscilla shouldn't have the best always. I mean, since I do have the money, of course, but I guess it's supposed to be vulgar to talk about money.
Not at all, Mrs. Babcock. You talk all about money you want. Now, Dr. Kildare, he'll be glad to.
That's why I chose the Devereaux Institute for Young Ladies out on Long Island. Priscilla's been there at boarding school, you know. I mean, the Devereaux Institute is positively the best. I made certain of that. Oh, they're so snooty about family backgrounds. Well, I had a terrible time. Well, that is, it took time, of course. But I think it's so important to be right with the right people, don't you?
No.
I mean, after all, what did you say?
I said no.
Oh, what a delightful sense of humor.
Thank you.
Well, I do have to run now. Oh, I'm so glad Priscilla's in such good hands. And you know something, Dr. Gillespie. I just adore you. Goodbye, gentlemen.
Kildare, words fail me.
Oh, well, now she isn't your patient. Maybe the daughter's not quite so talkative.
I don't care. I don't want any part of either one of them.
Oh, you can't throw over the case before you've even seen the girl.
I don't want to see her. Jimmy, how come you're so interested in this?
Because of one fact that hasn't been mentioned.
Huh?
The way the girl broke her arm.
Well, horseback riding, I suppose, is some select sport at that select finishing school.
Not quite, no. It happened when she fell off a rope ladder that she'd rigged up in order to escape from that select finishing school.
Good morning, Priscilla. I'm Dr. Gillespie.
How do you do, sir?
You might call this merely a get-acquainted visit today, young lady. Since I'm responsible for that arm of yours, I thought that possibly...
There is no reason to be concerned about my arm. Considering my age, general tone of health, and rate of metabolism, the bone should knit quickly and without any trouble at all.
You seem rather well informed on the subject.
I'm rather well informed on most subjects, Doctor, and especially well on scientific subjects.
Oh, I see. Then I take it you regard yourself as a scientist.
In an embryo stage, yes. Advanced, however, some 10 to 12 years beyond my actual age.
Which I recall is 15.
Correct. That, of course, I'm unable to change.
But no doubt you would if you could. Any particular field of science in which you specialize?
My most intense interest is directed toward the realm of astronomy and astrophysics.
Well, that's quite a good-sized realm. I presume the subject of medicine has also engaged your attention at one time or another.
Only superficially. After all, it is merely a byproduct of true science.
Yeah, just a byproduct. Yeah.
I say this quite impersonally, Doctor, but medicine simply does not have enough scope to challenge my intellectual curiosity.
Miss Babcock, I no longer have the least doubt that what your arm will heal precisely on schedule. It wouldn't dare not to.
No, I can't entirely agree with you, Dr. Gillespie. I don't believe it's natural meanness on her part at all. I think for some reason she's putting up a front.
And I agree with you, Dr. Kildare. I know when I was a young girl, I certainly...
Parker, shut up.
Well...
You were never a young girl. You were born at the age of 47.
Oh!
Well, I think the child's been hurt by something.
Hurt?
Badly hurt.
Jimmy, it'd be easier to hurt the Rock of Gibraltar with a pea shooter.
I know she's cold and hard, but that's it. An attitude like that doesn't develop naturally at 15. It builds up as a result of some deep emotional pain. It's a symptom. Also, she was trying to run away from school. Why?
Probably because she was planning to poison the city reservoir.
That girl has a serious problem.
The girl is a serious problem. So's her mother.
Oh, she just needs love and sympathy, like every young girl.
Well, who don't?
She also needs understanding, and she needs help.
Well, she needs a good spanking. That's what she needs, and I'll have nothing more to do with the case.
Then you won't mind if I have a try at it?
Mind? Why, I should be delighted if you would, Dr. Sigmund von Kildare.
Enough mathematical background to follow all phases of the theory, but the general development seems to be entirely logical. Priscilla, you've spent a lot of time on this, haven't you?
Yes, it's the only thing in life that interests me, Dr. Kildare.
I see. And what about, human relations?
People are unimportant to me. I have no need for human relations, as you call it.
And you never get lonely?
Certainly not.
Tell me something, Priscilla. Isn't truth the one great ideal of all science?
Yes, truth above everything else.
Then why do you go on deliberately lying to me?
What?
For the last half hour, you've told me one lie right after another. What about this shining ideal of truth? Do you really believe it? Or is that another lie? And if you do believe it, why don't you stick to it instead of lying to me every time you draw a breath? And what about this scientific talk? Just a pose to impress somebody? What are you? A fake? A phony? Well, now that's better. Now, I'm sorry, Priscilla, but it was the only way to break you down and find out what's wrong. Now, please understand this. I'm for you, and I want to help you. Now, let's talk about it. Come on.
They hate me, Dr. Kildare. All of them at school hate me. I don't have a friend. Not even one single friend in the whole world.
Yes, I understand. They stick together because their grandfathers all knew one another. And you're left on the outside, right?
They laugh at me. Make fun of me because I know things. Because I want to know things. I won't go back there. I won't.
There now, honey. We've got a lot more talking to do yet. And then we'll try to find a solution. But right now, just realize this. You do have a friend. That is, if you want me for a friend.
All right, Jimmy, all right now. The thing to do is to get her out of that school. She doesn't belong there. But that may be quite a problem.
Yes, I know. I ran into Mrs. Babcock in the hall this afternoon. Tried to sound her out on the subject a little, but... Oh, she's well-meaning enough.
Yeah, but she happens to be a nincompoop.
Well, now, that's a little uncharitable of you, Doctor. She spoke quite highly of you.
Oh, quite highly, did she, though?
In fact, I can sense a strong interest beginning to develop there. I think her intentions are serious.
Confounded, Jimmy, that woman is a menace. Why, she ought to be locked up. You can't argue with a woman. If she ever got her hooks on a man, he wouldn't have a chance.
Oh, dear. Now, what's all this?
Oh, hello, Dr. Carew. Why, we were just discussing Dr. Gillespie's conquest of Mrs. Babcock.
A conquest? Indeed. Why, Dr. Gillespie, you dog, you.
Carew!
Now. Just a little pleasantry of mine, you know. I really should meet this charming lady.
Yes, you certainly ought to. Serve you both right.
Oh, dear, you are in a state.
I think you'll be all right as soon as he gets used to it, Dr. Carew. After all, this romance did develop rather unexpectedly, you know.
Romance? Kildare? If you want an unexpected romance, I'll give you one. Here. Listen to this poem that Parker found in Priscilla's room this afternoon. You want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It goes, "The eyes of my love gleam like the pole star, and the tones of his voice sound in harmonies cyclical. The brow of my love is a theorem from Euclid, and his glance makes my pulse beat ultrasonical."
Free verse, I suppose you'd call it.
Free as the air, that verse.
Scientific surrealism. I'd like to get a look at that boy.
Yeah, then go find a mirror, Jimmy, because she's dedicated the poem to Dr. James Kildare.
We will return to the story of Dr. Kildare in just a moment. continue with the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
I think it's just simply amazing, Dr. Kildare, the way that girl has changed since she came here, and in just 4 days, too.
Yes, there's a big difference, all right, Parker.
She's trying so hard to learn how to be friendly that it's just pitiful.
The worst of it is, in just a few days, she'll have to go right back and face the same misery.
Oh, Dr. Kildare, can't anything be done?
I know the one thing that should be done, but I don't know how it can be done. She should be taken out of that finishing school immediately.
Priscilla Babcock?
Yes.
Of course she should. You had no business being sent there in the first place.
Well, all right, Dr. Gillespie, how about a practical suggestion? What can we do about it?
Nothing. She belongs in some science preparatory institute. The Rodman Academy, for example.
Yes, Rodman's would be perfect.
Yes.
She'd get individual guidance, and she'd find the emotional outlet that she needs so badly.
I thought she'd found that in you.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a passing phase. Doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah.
I hope. You know, Dr. Gillespie, there might be one possible way to get Mrs. Babcock to change her mind.
Oh, indeed.
Well, if she were advised to change her daughter's school by someone who was in position to, play on her affections, then she might do it.
Yes. There's always a possibility in getting someone to change the... Kildare, I won't do it. I'll have nothing more to do with that woman. I positively and absolutely will not do it. And that's final. Mrs. Babcock, I asked you to come here this afternoon because certain foundling on the doorstep of Blair Hospital 95 years ago.
Oh.
I completed my internship at the age of 7, and I've been practicing medicine here ever since.
Oh, that sense of humor of yours just slays. I mean, fascinates.
It sure does. And now, if I might, for only 5 minutes, discuss the rather important subject of Priscilla's future, perhaps we may be able to...
Oh, you're absolutely right, of course. It is best to take care of the more practical questions first. And what could be more practical than a whole lifetime for each other?
You mean you thought that... You idiot.
Oh, say it again, Leonard. Oh, I just love to be dominated by a man.
Mrs. Babcock, may I ask what gave you the...
Don't ask me. Tell me, big boy.
Big boy? Parker! Parker!
Good gracious, Dr. Gillespie, what's the matter?
Parker, go find Kildare and get him in here.
What? Oh, we don't really need Dr. Kildare, do we, honey?
Parker, for the love of heaven, go find Kildare.
It's all right, Dr. Gillespie. It's all right. Just relax. She's gone now. You're safe. You've got nothing to worry about.
Kildare, she's a maniac. That woman's a raving maniac.
I don't know how you do it. You insult them and still they go wild. I'll have to learn that technique myself.
Technique? I didn't do one single thing.
Well, I don't know. You must have led her on some way.
Led her on? Jimmy, the whole thing was your fault in the first place. Now, you know that. You talked me into it against my better judgment. I should have known better.
Well, that's that. It didn't work. Frankly, I don't know anything that will.
No, I don't either, Jimmy. The only thing that impresses her is what she calls old families. It's a shame that Mr. Miles Standish isn't still around. Or John Alden.
Hey, now, you know, that might be it.
I'm afraid not. They're both dead.
No, but what about Carew?
Carew?
Sure, that blue blood Boston background he's always talking about.
Jimmy, he'll never do it.
I've got 3 magic words that say he will.
Magic words?
Yes. $10 million.
$10 million? Dr. Kildare, I'm not certain I heard you correctly. Did you say $10 million?
That's right, Dr. Carew.
$10 million. Walking around loose. Right in this very hospital. And I didn't know about it.
Yes, it's amazing.
And do I understand that this potential patroness wishes to meet me?
Dr. Carew, if you'll pardon the colloquialism, she's down in my office right now, frothing at the bit.
Oh, yes. Yes. Then you think the best approach toward getting a toward advancing the interests of Blair Hospital will be to urge Mrs. Babcock to put her daughter in the
The Rodman Academy. I think it's the only way, Dr. Carew. The girl's extremely unhappy at present and in danger of becoming a mental problem. Now, if we can prevent that, if we can help her, Mrs. Babcock's gratitude may very well be boundless.
Oh, dear me. Boundless, you think?
Well, after all, she's an ex-chorus girl, and as you know, show people are noted for their generosity.
Yes, well, that's sometimes overrated, I think. My wife, you understand, was a former burlesque dancer.
Yes, I know.
Dr. Kildare, I'll do it. I am sincerely convinced that it's for the best interests of
the patient?
Of the patient? Oh, yes, of course, the patient. Shall we join Mrs. Babcock?
Mrs. Babcock, I don't believe you've met our director, Dr. Carew.
How do you do, my dear?
Charmed, I'm sure.
Did you say Mrs. Babcock? Am I to understand that this lovely young girl is married?
Oh, Dr. Carew.
Mrs. Babcock is, most unfortunately, a widow, Dr. Carew.
How tragic.
Yes, isn't it?
Her late husband was Worthington Babcock of Connecticut. Perhaps you may have...
Oh, yes. There were some Babcocks with whom members of my family corresponded so far back as the Revolutionary days.
Dr. Carew, are you by any chance from a very old family?
My dear, the Carew family is probably older than any other in Boston.
Oh, it must be just wonderful.
Well, that sort of thing does carry its responsibilities, you know.
Why, I suppose you've been intimate friends with the Babbitts for generations.
The Babbitts?
Of course, Dr. Carew. The Babbitts in Boston. Well, I've heard you mention them often.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Dr. Carew, now, about the matter you mentioned.
Oh, yes, that. Mrs. Babcock, I have been discussing your daughter with Dr. Kildare. That school she's attending simply won't do. It won't do at all.
Well, what school would you suggest?
An immediate transfer to the
Rodman Academy?
Yes, Rodman. It's positively the best.
Oh, I'll do it this afternoon. Oh, you're so right, Dr. Carew. It is hard for a woman alone with money that has to be managed and all sorts of problems.
Yes. Mrs. Babcock, I would like to talk with you concerning a subject which is very near to my heart. I think we might leave Dr. Kildare now and stroll about the hospital.
Why, Dr. Carew, this is a surprise, but not an unpleasant one.
Oh, my dear, when you understand my desperate need
I do understand it.
Well, we are getting on rapidly. Come now, Mrs. Babcock, I'd like to show you some of my problems.
Oh, of course. Goodbye, Dr. Kildare, and thank you.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Babcock. All right, Dr. Gillespie, she's gone. You can come out now.
Confound it, Jimmy. I hope she stays gone.
Oh, she will. She's got a real blue blood in tow now.
She's got a phony stuffed shirt in tow now. You know, Jimmy, neither one of them realizes what the other one's talking about.
Yes, and wait till they find out. And wait till Mrs. Carew finds out. She's an ex-showgirl, too, you know. And Dr. Gillespie, what happens then shouldn't happen even to a Babbitt of Boston.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. And now, once again, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Oh, I'm so happy, Dr. Kildare, Dr. Gillespie.
I don't know how you ever got Mother to do it, but you did, and that's the important thing.
Yes, well, it was a little complicated, Priscilla.
I'm supposed to register at the academy on Monday and start Tuesday, and I can hardly wait. The Rodmans came in to see me yesterday, you know.
Oh, yes, we talked to them.
Their son Dave was with them.
I know. Dr. Gillespie and I met him.
Oh, yes. Dave Rodman, he seemed to be a very nice lad.
He goes to the academy, too.
Huh?
He's, 16.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess I'd better go pack. I'll see you again before I leave.
All right, Priscilla.
Jimmy. Does she still think she's in love with you?
Well, hardly. Did you hear those remarks about young Rodman?
Well, yes. But after all, he's 16 and you are an older man.
All right.
Oh, dear. Dear. Dr. Gillespie, Dr. Kildare, do you know what happened?
Why, no, Dr. Guru. What's happened?
That woman.
Oh, yes, that woman.
Why, I would only, if my wife ever found out, that woman actually thought that I was trying to make a conquest.
A conquest, indeed. Why, Dr. Carew, you dog, you.
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. This program was written by Les Crutchfield and directed by William P. Russo. Original music was composed and conducted by Walter Schumann. Supporting cast included Virginia Gregg, Ted Osborne, Sarah Selby, and Patty Chapman. Dick Joy speaking.
Our next broadcast is a radio mystery drama which ran from May 16th, 1942 until September 27th, 1955 on CBS Radio Network. The show was also broadcast in Chicago and over Armed Forces Radio. On the West Coast, it was sponsored by the Signal Oil Company. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil program. The program was also adapted into a film noir series by Columbia Pictures in 1944. Each episode began with the sound of footsteps and a person whistling. The haunting signature theme tune was composed by Wilbert Hatch and featured Dorothy Roberts whistling with an orchestra. We present to you The Whistler on HOJO Radio.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
Nita, what is it? What's wrong with you?
I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a terrible feeling. A horrible feeling of foreboding. I'm frightened, Tom.
Another Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. And so I tell you tonight the unusual story of Malice. Dr. Jacob Benton is the wealthiest citizen in a certain upstate county, as well as its most prominent physician and surgeon. Jacob Benton is a proud individual, proud of the fact that he comes from a long line of highly successful surgeons. And his greatest ambition is that his son, Tom, will follow in his footsteps and carry on the family tradition. Jacob has also a nephew, Harvey, son of Jacob's scapegoat brother, who married a girl from the wrong side of the town and finally disappeared, leaving Jacob to take care of his young son. After finishing high school, Tom and Harvey entered medical school. Harvey followed through and is to graduate next week. But Jacob's son, Tom, at the end of his third year, wandered over to the East Bottoms at the lower end of town and met a girl. lost interest in medicine, and refused to go back to school.
Tom. Tom.
Yes, Father?
Come into the library.
What do you want?
Where have you been? It's 2 a.m.
Why, I've been to a party.
Where?
A house party.
On the other side of town?
Yes. In the East Bottoms.
You've seen that girl, that Nita, again, haven't you?
Yes. What of it?
What of it? You're a disgrace to the name of Benton. I've told you time and again that you don't belong over there.
I like Nita because she's honest and genuine. She's not filled with a lot of silly ideas like Eloise.
Eloise is a fine girl. She belongs to an excellent family.
Oh, bosh. Eloise is a phony. Nita's a real fellow.
If you become serious about this girl, you'll be ostracized.
I know all about poor Uncle George. He went over to the East Bottoms and met a girl and went to the dogs. But it wasn't the girl. He was no good in the first place.
He was a stubborn fool, just like you.
I resent being told who and when and where.
Are you in love with this girl?
Yes.
I'm terribly disappointed in you, Tom. I'd prayed that you'd become a surgeon.
I don't like medicine.
You were wrapped up in your studies until you met this girl.
That's what you think.
I'm ashamed of you. Your cousin Harvey came from the lower end of town. I made him see the light. And then think of it. You about face and walk right into it. You quit school and he graduates next week.
All right, his name's Benton, too. Let him carry on. He likes medicine. It bores me.
This girl has made a fool of you. Oh, I could kill her.
I think I'd better go to bed. Good night.
Good night. Young idiot. He's going to finish school if I have to...
What's all the racket about down here?
Oh, come in, Harvey.
I heard voices.
Yes, it is Tom. He's been to a party across town. Been out with that cheap girl again, that Nita.
Are you sure?
He admitted it. Says he's in love with her. Tossing his career to the winds over a woman like that.
How long has he been seeing her?
Several months, I suppose. That's why he wouldn't go back to school. All she's after is his money. How he ever met up with her, I'll never know.
I'm afraid I'm the cause of that, Uncle Jacob.
You? What do you mean?
Well, when I was home last summer, I went over there one evening, several evenings, in fact. Tom insisted on going along. I wanted to see some of the kids. I went to school with Nita, and, well, I introduced them.
Well, of all things, you were born over there, and if you insisted on going back, it was your own business. But Tom is my son. You knew how I felt about it. You had no right to take him over there.
I realize that now.
Well, something's got to be done about it at once.
Yes, but what?
I'll put an end to it. Believe me, I'll find a way, and I'll stop at nothing.
For the remainder of the night, Jacob sits in the library studying the problem of what to do about Tom. And upstairs, young Harvey paces to and fro, pondering over the same question. The next morning, Harvey goes to the lower end of town to visit Nita.
Hello, Nita.
Harvey. Well, I didn't know you were back in town.
You didn't? I came home last night. I'm going back in a few days for graduation exercises. Have you missed me, Nita?
Why, yes.
Why haven't you written me in the last month or so?
Well, I've been busy.
Been across town lately?
No, why should I?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a strange thing about this section called the East Bottoms. It means more than just a place. It's a huge barrier. An insurmountable obstacle. I was born over here, same as you. But I got an idea that I could cross over, and in time I'd be accepted as one of them. But I finally realized that I would never be accepted. I'd only be tolerated. I'd never be able to practice medicine over there.
I think that's all imagination.
I told you I had definitely decided to come back here and settle down. That's why I asked you to marry me.
I'm not satisfied here.
Since when?
I've never been satisfied here.
You belong here, Nita. You'll never be able to cross over. You'll be miserable. I know.
Maybe.
And Tom would never last over here. He'd wash up, just as my father did.
What are you talking about?
I know what's happened. You're throwing me over for Tom.
What?
You're after Tom because you think he'll take you out of this. Set you up on the other side. Well, he won't. He'll have to come over here, and he won't have a dime. You're not really in love with Tom.
I am in love with him, and he loves me.
It won't last a month.
I'll make it last.
Oh, don't be a fool, Nita. Tom's father thinks you're a good-for-nothing, and he'll never change.
I don't care. I love Tom.
And when it came to a showdown, Tom would walk out on
I'm
me.
going to marry him. I've made up my mind.
Then there's nothing more I can say. Goodbye, Anita.
Goodbye.
That evening, Dr. Jacob comes to a decision, and he too crosses town and makes his way to Nita's apartment.
Well, what do you want to talk about, Dr. Benton?
About my son, Tom.
I see.
How long have you known him?
Oh, since last summer.
Have you seen him often?
Yes, several times a week for the last 2 months.
You think you're in love with him?
I don't think. I know I am.
I don't think he's in love with you. He's merely infatuated. You're interested in his position, his money.
You can think whatever you like.
I'm familiar with your type.
My type? What's the matter with me?
Are you aware of what you're doing to my son?
I've done nothing at all.
You've caused him to drop his career. Tom has a tradition to fulfill. He comes from a fine family. And I won't have him throw it all to the wind because of a silly infatuation.
It isn't an infatuation.
He must marry someone in his own class. Someone who'll inspire him to carry on his career.
I didn't talk him out of his career. He says he doesn't like medicine.
The right girl wouldn't allow him to stray. She would encourage him to follow through.
The right girl. Family. Tradition. It's all a lot of bosh. Everybody in this town has made up his mind that the East Bottoms mean the difference between somebody and nobody. Well, I haven't. I'm made of the same stuff as you or Tom or anybody else over there. I have a right to a decent existence.
If it's money you want, I'll give you money to let him alone. I'll give you a lot more than you'll ever get from Tom if you marry him.
Money? You'd pay me to give him up?
Yes. Here. Here's a check for $5,000.
$5,000? Is that all your son is worth to you? $5,000? If he were my son, and I thought I could buy his future, I'd give every cent I had.
What? You mean you want more than that?
Dr. Benton, you don't possess enough money to buy me off. I don't want money.
Well, what goes on here?
Hello, Tom. You came just in time.
What are you doing here, Father?
What do you suppose?
What's he been saying, Nita?
He just gave me this check for $5,000.
For what?
To let you alone, so you can continue your career.
What?
He thinks I'm wrecking your life.
He is.
That settles it. We'll get married tonight.
You won't get married tonight, not in this state.
We'll fly over to the island. That's in another state. They don't have the 3-day law. Get your things, Nita.
If you marry this girl, I'll never give you another cent.
I'll get along. Come on, Nita.
Tom, I'll stop at nothing to break this up. I promise you'll regret this moment so long as you live.
Let's go, Nita.
So Tom and Nita rush out of the house and drive to the airport just outside of town. A storm has come up. The highway glistens in the beam of the headlights.
This rain is certainly like a cloudburst.
Maybe we shouldn't fly over tonight, Tom.
Why not?
I don't like to fly in a storm. How can you tell where to land?
Don't worry about that. I'm familiar with the field.
Who's on the island at this time of year?
Well, not many people. We've had this summer place there as long as I can remember. There's an old fellow and his wife who look after most of the places. He's also a justice of the peace. He can marry us, we'll spend the night at our place, and then we'll go someplace else tomorrow.
Tom, are you sure you want to go through with this?
Certainly. Why do you ask?
Your father meant what he said. Is it worth it? To give up everything?
You're worth a dozen family fortunes.
But now that I think about it, well, he sort of frightened me.
He didn't frighten me.
Oh, the way he said it made chills run up my spine.
Said what?
You'll regret this moment so long as you live.
Oh, he was just bluffing.
But somehow I don't think he was.
He can cut me off, but we'll get along.
Tom, why don't you finish your studies?
I told you, darling. I don't like medicine, and I never will. Why should I do something I dislike just because my father and my great-great-grandfathers liked it?
Well, what do you want to do?
Oh, I don't know. But I'll find something.
Tom?
Yes? What is it? Nita. What is it? What's wrong with you?
Oh, I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a terrible feeling. A feeling of foreboding.
Snap out of it, Nita. This isn't like you.
I know, but I can't help it. I'm frightened.
Of what?
I don't know, but I am. Oh, tell me to turn back. Let's wait, please.
Oh, no, you can't back out now. We're going through with this.
But he meant it. Your father meant what he said. I know he did. Please turn back.
I wouldn't turn back for all the money in the world.
I can't see a thing. No lights, nothing.
Now, don't worry. I don't need lights to land.
We should have come in a boat.
No, it's too choppy for a boat. This is the only way in weather like this.
Tom, there, I see a light. Just went on.
Yeah? Old Jenkins probably heard it.
The light is swinging.
Yeah, that's it. That's the field. It's a tiny one, but I can make it.
There's a light.
Yeah. We're all right now. Hang on. I'm going to set her down.
Tom, look at those trees. Pull up. Are they dead, Pa?
I don't know yet. Good thing it didn't catch fire.
Oh, who are they?
Don't know. I'll hold the lantern down here.
It's a woman.
Don't recognize her. Hey, this is young Tom Benton.
Oh, the girl is hurt bad. Look at her legs. They must be broken.
Yeah. Come along. We'll get him over to the house. Phone Doc Benton. Hello? This Dr. Benton's home? This is Jenkins over on the island. Is Dr. Benton there? Oh, is that you, Harvey? Well, you better find Doc and get him over here right away. It's young Tom. He tried to land his plane and hit some trees. I don't think Tom is hurt so bad, but the girl has smashed up something terrible. I don't know who she is. Yeah. Goodbye. Well, it didn't take you long to get here, Harvey. We've got him over at our place.
How in the world did Tom hit those trees? I had no trouble seeing the field.
The lights weren't on when Tom came in. Didn't even hear his motor until it was too late. He should have phoned me. He was coming. Hey, where's Doc Benton?
He was out on the case. He left his patient's house, so I left a message telling him I was going ahead and to come as quickly as possible. I brought some medical supplies.
Here we are. Tom's over there on the couch. They put the girl in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Few cuts on him. Don't think he has any broken bones. Oh, nasty bump on the head. Maybe a slight concussion. Well, I better have a look at the girl.
Looks to me like both her legs are broken.
Nita. Poor kid.
You know who she is?
Yes, I know who she is.
Was I right about her legs?
Yes. Both rather badly smashed up.
Where were they going on a night like this?
I imagine they came over here to get you to marry them.
Marry him? Well, I'll be darned. Wonder why he didn't phone me first.
They were in too much of a hurry, I suppose.
Too bad.
She's in a very critical condition. Extreme shock. Better get some hot water and plenty of blankets.
Right away.
Get the house as warm as possible and put more blankets on Tom.
I'll be right back. Martha?
Yes? How is she?
Harvey says she's in bad shape. Gather up all the bedclothes and coats you can. Got to cover them up good. Put on plenty of water to heat. I'll build up the fire.
Outside, the storm rages on. Harvey sits quietly beside Nita's bed, staring at her in a daze. Her breathing becomes shallow, irregular. A quarter of an hour passes. Then a plane motor is heard overhead. The ship sets down, and Dr. Jacob hurries to the house.
Tom's over there, Doc.
Tom.
Tom. He's been unconscious ever since we brought him in.
Can't find any fractures.
He's got an awful wallop on his head.
Yes. I see. No apparent concussion. He'll be all right in a short while. Get some pillows. Raise his feet. I want his head, Laura.
I'll get them.
You certainly got it hot in here.
Yeah. And Harvey had us do that because of the girl. She's pretty bad.
Girl? Where is the girl?
Oh, in the bedroom there. Harvey's in there.
I'll have a look at her. Harvey. Harvey.
Huh? Oh. Hello.
What's the matter with you?
I just...
Are you crying?
No, I'm just... This is a miserable mess.
Fine example of a doctor you are. You have to learn to be completely impersonal about these things.
Oh, I know.
What do you say is wrong with her?
Both legs are broken. She's suffering from extreme shock.
Uh-huh. Better take your bag, go out there and give Tom a shot of adrenaline. I'll attend to the girl.
Yes, sir.
Harvey gives Tom the adrenaline and proceeds to attend to the cuts and bruises. Then he moves to the fireplace and sits staring into the blaze. The storm rages on, and the minutes drag slowly along. 10, 20, 30. Then Dr. Jacob steps out of the bedroom.
Harvey.
Yes, sir?
Has Tom come out of it yet?
Not yet. He shows improvement. He'll be all right in a little while.
I see. Jenkins.
Yes, Doc?
Get us something to make a pallet. You'll carry him down to the plane and take him over to the hospital.
Sure, right away. I'll get 4 poles and some rope. I'll have 2 made in a jiffy.
Never mind 2. Just 1. The girl is dead.
Then on the following day, Tom has fully recovered. Gradually, the events of the preceding hours begin to pass before him. The argument, the island, the plane, Nita screaming, and then the crash, and then Nita. Where is Nita? Tom sends for his father, but Jacob is already standing in the shadows of the room.
How do you feel, Tom?
Nita. Is Nita all right?
Oh, now, take it easy, Tom. Don't get excited.
Where is Nita?
Forget about Nita for the moment. You've been pretty badly banged up. A little more, and you'd have had a real concussion.
What about Nita?
If you insisted on flying to the island, why didn't you phone Jenkins to turn on the light?
He heard my motor. We were in a hurry. Besides, I saw the lights.
Jenkins said he didn't turn them on at all. Didn't hear you till just before you crashed.
That's ridiculous. Where have you got Nita?
Nita is at the undertaker's.
What?
She's dead.
Good Lord. Was she... Did it happen in the crash?
No, she died about half an hour after I got there.
Were you on the island?
Yes, Jenkins found you and called the house. I was out on a case and got to the island too late to save her.
What was the cause?
Her legs were broken. She died from extreme shock.
Was there nothing you could do?
Nothing.
Did you try?
I resent that inference. You should know better than that.
I'd rather have had anybody in the world there than you.
Do you know what you're talking about?
Yes, I do. You hated her. You didn't give her half a chance.
Will you shut up and stop yelling?
What did you give her?
I gave her adrenaline.
It was probably water.
I've heard enough out of you. When you come to your senses, I'll consider talking to you. Good day.
Now Tom, his mind filled with suspicion, his heart burning with hatred, throws on his clothes, dashes out of the hospital, and goes to the island. He reviews the whole situation with Jenkins. Each incident from the time he first heard the plane motor to the moment they took him to the hospital. Tom returns to town, arranges for an autopsy, and is now talking to the autopsy surgeon.
Well, Dr. Grauberg, how about it? What's your report?
Well, Both legs were fractured, but there was no compound fracture. There were several minor lacerations about the body and a head contusion.
Nothing there that would have caused death?
No, nothing.
What else did you find? Any evidence of poison?
No, none.
She was suffering from shock?
Oh, naturally. But not extreme shock.
Then she didn't die from shock.
Death from shock would have been prevented by the adrenaline administered.
Then you found adrenaline present?
Yes. That is what I can't understand.
What do you mean?
Well, one of the most difficult things to diagnose is the difference between extreme shock and internal hemorrhage.
There was internal hemorrhage?
Certainly. And this one was one of the easiest to diagnose I've ever seen. As you well know, adrenaline in internal hemorrhage is absolutely contraindicated.
In other words, you think her death was caused by the administration of adrenaline?
I do, definitely. But those things happen sometimes, regardless of how hard we try.
Yes. Well, thanks, Doctor. I'll see you later. Hello, Father.
Well, have you finally come to your senses?
Yes. Yes, I have. I'd like to have a little talk with you.
Very well. What about?
I've been doing a little investigating.
Investigating? Now, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about Nita.
Are you going to start on that again?
I am. And I'm going to follow it to a conclusion.
I don't want to have anything more to do with it.
But I do.
I've had a hard day, and I don't care to listen to any more of your idiotic babblings.
How would you like to have the grand old name of Benton? The untarnished reputation of your long line of surgeons blasted to 1,000 pieces.
What are you talking about?
How would you like to have it known that you, the eminent Dr. Benton, the trusted, the revered Dr. Jacob Benton, deliberately and with malice aforethought caused the death of a girl? How would you like that?
You're insane, positively mad.
Oh, no, I'm not. I've gone back over the whole thing. I know you hated Nita. You said I'd regret the day so long as I lived. You threatened to do something, and you did. At your first opportunity.
You are crazy.
You did everything to separate us. You tried to buy her off. When that didn't work, you killed her.
Get out of here. Leave this house.
You didn't just let her die. You killed her, murdered her.
Get out.
I know what I'm talking about. I had an autopsy performed.
You what?
An autopsy.
Go on.
She didn't die of shock.
What then?
She died of a very obvious internal hemorrhage, aggravated by adrenaline, which is contraindicated. You're a specialist in that line. You couldn't have made that mistake in 1,000 years.
But I was positive it was shock.
You knew what it was.
No, I must have been wrought up. I could have made that one wrong diagnosis that happens once in 1,000 times.
Oh, no, I saw the body. I could tell. With as little medical experience as I've had.
Tom, you mustn't say anything further about this.
Why not?
It would ruin my reputation.
Oh, now you're worried about your reputation. What's that compared to the girl I love?
Oh, but Tom, listen to me, please.
Good night.
Wait a minute. Wait, Tom.
Well, what do you want, Harvey?
I heard you. I heard every word.
So what?
I can't let it go on like this. I can't let you do this to your father.
What's it to you? You keep out of
No,
it.
Tom, now listen. You're wrong.
I know what I'm talking about. Nita was murdered, and I can prove it.
Your father had nothing to do with it.
Harvey, that's enough. Leave us alone.
I won't. I can't stand by quietly and see this happen to you. I won't.
Leave this room, Harvey. Don't say another word.
Now, wait a minute. What are you trying to say, Harvey?
I did it. Your father's trying to cover up for me.
What do you mean?
He wants to save my future reputation. If it got out, it would be a blot against me.
What would be?
When Jenkins called, your father was out. He told me what had happened. I left a note for your father, took an emergency bag, and flew to the island in hopes I could do something.
Go on.
I thought Nita was suffering from shock. I was terribly upset because I was in love with her. So I gave her adrenaline. I wasn't experienced enough to recognize symptoms of hemorrhage.
Is that the truth?
Yes, now that he's told it, there's nothing I can do. I knew in an instant it was hemorrhage. When I saw the adrenaline vial, I knew what a terrible mistake he'd made. He was emotionally upset over the girl, and I wanted to give him a chance. It was done. I tried my best to pull her through, but it was too late.
I'm sorry, Tom. Terribly sorry.
Harvey guiltily leaves the library and goes up the stairs to his room. Tom stands staring at Jacob, then drops into a chair and begins to sob softly. A few minutes pass, then a shot. Tom and his father leap to their feet, rush up the stairs and into Harvey's room. Harvey is sprawled dead over the desk, a gun in his hand, and on the desk a note addressed to Tom. Read it, Tom.
Dear Tom, I can't stand it any longer. It's been driving me crazy from the moment I did it. Nita's face is before me every second of the day and night. I was in love with her. But when she ran away with you, I lost my reason. I imagined she'd be better off dead. I was filled with hatred. I knew she was suffering from hemorrhage, but I gave her the adrenaline in a bit of revenge. Now it's driving me mad. Forgive me. Harvey.
Well, that's the end. Another case of jealousy. Another example of the futility of allowing oneself to become a victim of the green-eyed monster, jealousy.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Whistler is written and directed by J. Donald Wilson and originates from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15...
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you another unusual tale. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
No, I don't want to die. Get away!
John, wait.
Oh. Where is he?
Where's who?
That man.
Oh, you've been having a nightmare, John.
Huh? Oh, good heavens, Clara. It was awful. I dreamed there was a man in this room, and he stood right over me. And he said I was going to die. I was going to be murdered within 48 hours.
Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. And so I tell you tonight the strange story, Death Comes at Midnight. John Prentice is a manufacturer, a very busy man who needs his rest. But John had a frightful dream. The dream was not brought on by a guilty conscience, for John's life has been above reproach. He loves his wife, Clara, and their grown daughter, Eva. He has done no wrong to any man. Why, then, this awful dream with its prophecy of death? Now, the following evening, the Prentices are planning to attend a lecture, and Dwight Cooper, Eva's fiancé, is going with them. The wife and daughter are in the living room awaiting his arrival.
Oh, there's Dwight now, Mother. I'll go to the door. Oh, wait a minute, Eva. You'd better make sure who it is before you open the door. Oh, Mother, you still worrying about that dream Daddy had last night? Well, I can't help being nervous about it. Well, of course it's Dwight. We're expecting him, aren't we? I'm going to let him in. Well, enter, my lord.
Hello, darling. How come you're answering the door yourself? Maid's not out?
We haven't got a maid. She went to work in a war plant.
Well, good for her.
We're going to do without a maid for the duration.
That's a spirit. Good evening, Miss Prentice.
Good evening, Dwight. Now, you see, Mother, it wasn't a big bad wolf after all. Not this time. But we'd better be careful, Eva.
Well, what's this about a big bad wolf?
Seems that Mother believes in dreams, Dwight. And last night Dad had one that was really a honey. Oh, I don't believe in dreams.
Oh, Daddy.
Yeah?
Dwight's here, so hurry up.
I'll be there just a minute.
Talk about a woman taking her time dressing.
Well, what about this dream?
You tell him, Mother. Well, I don't believe that all dreams have a meaning. But this one John had was a prophecy, and I'm concerned about it.
Yes?
He kept hearing a man's voice telling him over and over that he was going to be murdered within 48 hours.
Murdered?
Can you imagine such a thing?
Oh, well, I wouldn't be alarmed, Mrs. Prentice. According to psychologists, a dream has no possible relation to the future. They say a dream comes from experiences of the past that have been registered in the subconscious mind.
Well, if John's been murdered in the past, I haven't heard about it.
Oh, now, wait. I didn't mean it quite as literally as all that.
Well, Mother's been counting the hours, Dwight. Let's see, the dream came at midnight last night. That means Dad's hour of doom is midnight tomorrow, if he isn't murdered sooner.
Maybe we'd better not risk taking him to the lecture.
Oh, I wish you two wouldn't joke about it. I don't think it's any joking matter. Oh, I'll get it. Hello?
Hello? Mr. Prentice there?
Well, he's busy right now. Could I take a message?
Yeah. Tell him he better come to the phone, whether he's busy or not, if he wants to save his life.
What?
This is a matter of life and death.
Oh, well, hold the line a minute. Of all the amazing things, there's a man on the phone who sounds like a gangster. He wants to talk to Daddy about saving Daddy's life. His life?
Maybe I'd better talk to him.
Oh, no. No, get John on the phone. Call in, Eva.
Oh, Daddy, you want it on the phone. It's important.
All right, I'm coming.
Oh, don't tell me that dream didn't mean anything. Now, Mother, don't get excited.
Well, just what did this fellow say?
Well, Oh, here's Daddy.
Well, hello, Dwight.
Good evening, Miss Prentice.
Daddy, wait. I don't know who that man is, but he's terribly hard-boiled, and he said I'd better get you to the phone if you want to save your life.
What's this?
Oh, John, now...
I'll see what it's all about. Hello?
Mr. Prentice?
Yes?
You don't know me, but you better pay attention to what I'm telling you, see? A certain man here in town, a wealthy guy, has offered me a nice piece of dough to put you out of the way.
What?
But I want to be reasonable, see? So I'll consider... Hey, are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Well, if you want to hike the ante a little bit, say to $3,000, I'll call off my deal with this guy. What's more, I'll give you his name.
I see.
Now, $3,000's a small matter to you, so...
Wait a minute. Suppose you come here to the house and we'll talk it over.
Hey, do I sound like a chump? You're coming to see me, and you're bringing the dough.
Oh, no, I'm not. Think I'm going to walk into a trap?
You mean you're turning down my proposition?
I certainly am.
All right, mister. You asked for it. You'll be a goner by midnight tomorrow.
All right? So listen. Hello?
Midnight tomorrow. Now, not only in a dream, but in actual fact, John has been told that he will not live beyond that hour. John phones the police, and a few minutes later, Captain Arnold arrives at the house.
Mr. Prentice, can you think of anyone who'd like to have you put out of the way for any reason at all?
No. No, Captain, I really can't.
Now, you've been in business a good many years. How about your business rivals?
Well, of course, I've made a certain amount of enemies, of course.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them would go so far as to hire somebody to kill me.
You never can tell. Suppose you name some of your enemies.
Oh, no, I'm afraid, Captain, I couldn't do that.
Well, see here, why not?
Well, frankly, because I might be causing an innocent person a lot of embarrassment.
Oh, well, what of it? We've got to get to the bottom of this some way. Have you had a quarrel with anyone recently?
No, I haven't.
Think carefully now.
Well, yes, come to think of it, I did have a rather heated argument with a man the other day in my office. Oh, but I'm sure...
Well, and who was he?
I'd rather not say.
Was he a wealthy man?
Yes.
And tell me his name.
Oh, no, Captain, I'd rather not. If you'd go to his house and question him, I don't want...
How can the police help you if you won't help yourself?
Well, this is none of my business, Mr. Prentice, but if I were you...
No, Dwight, there's no use arguing. Got my own ideas on the subject.
Well, that's that, I guess. We'll have to conduct our investigation without your help, Mr. Prentice.
Oh, by the way, Captain, I'd feel a lot safer if you'd send an officer out to watch the house tonight.
Well, I brought a man with me. He's out in the car. I'll leave him here.
Oh, that'll be fine.
I'll leave the car, too, in case he needs it. Well, we'll do what we can, Mr. Prentice. Let us know the developments.
Oh, of course. I want to thank you, Captain.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Captain.
So John is unwilling to give the name of the man with whom he quarreled. Is it really because he's concerned about the possible embarrassment of an innocent person? Tonight the house will be well guarded, and as an added protection, Dwight has agreed to stay in the Prentice home. John, feeling quite safe, has gone to bed and fallen into a sound sleep. Then, at exactly midnight...
Let me go. Let me go. I don't want to die.
John.
No, don't throw me off the bridge. No.
Wake up, John.
No.
Wake up, John.
What?
Oh, John, you're in your room. Nothing's happening to you.
Oh.
You've been shouting your head off. Mother, what is it? Your father's had another nightmare. I thought that was it.
Yes, Evelyn. It was terrible.
What kind of dream was it? Like the other one?
Oh, it was worse. Now I know how I'm going to die and when.
Oh, you're not going to die.
I'm afraid of.
What did you dream, John?
He took me in a car to the old river bridge on Tower Street.
Who took you?
I don't know. I never saw him before. He tied my hands behind me with a rope, and when we got to the bridge, he dragged me out of the car and threw me into the river.
Oh, my heavens.
Mother. Just as we came to the bridge, I saw an illuminated clock. The hands were pointing to 12. That's when I'm going to die.
Oh, Daddy.
What time is it now?
Well, it's after 12.
Oh. Then it's tomorrow at midnight, just like that man said.
Daddy, don't talk like that. This dream doesn't mean anything.
What about my other dream? It meant something.
No, it didn't. That phone call didn't have a thing to do with your dream. It was just a coincidence. Now, things will look different to you in the morning.
Eva.
Yes?
Would you mind sending Dwight in here?
But he's asleep, Daddy.
I know, but please send him in. I want to talk to him.
Well, all right.
Sit down, Dwight.
They told me about the dream, Mr. Prentice, but I wouldn't let it bother me if I were you.
I can't help being bothered. The dream was so vivid, Dwight, and it fits in so perfectly with what's happening in real life.
Yes, I'll admit that's rather strange.
The reason I sent for you, well, if anything should happen to me, I want you to sort of take charge of things for Clara and Eva.
How do you mean?
I've made a will that takes care of my property, but there's my life insurance. It amounts to $100,000, and the money will have to be invested.
I see. Who's the insurance payable to?
Clara, but of course she knows nothing about investments. You advise her, will you, Dwight? I've got faith in your judgment.
Yes. I'll be glad to help in any way I can.
Come to think of it, I owe a payment on that policy right now. But the grace period isn't up for a couple of days yet. I'll make the payment if I'm still alive.
Oh, I have an idea you'll be alive, all right. But as you say, if anything should happen, I'll be glad to advise Mrs. Prentice.
Oh, I knew you would, Dwight. And thanks.
Next morning, John announces that he will stay at home all day. Clara, upset by the events of the night before, remains in her room. But John is feeling much better. He views things differently with the coming of a new day. He will not yield to this feeling of inevitable doom. He will fight the situation.
Hello?
Mr. Prentice?
Oh, it's you again. Dwight, get on that extension in the library.
Just, thought I'd call and ask if you've changed your mind.
No, I have not. What's more, I defy you to even lay a hand on me. I'm being protected by the police.
Well, ain't that fine? So you won't come across, huh?
No, I won't.
Look, Prentice, the water in that river is awful cold.
What? What did you say? Hello? Dwight, did you hear that?
What's the matter, Daddy?
I heard every word. Sounded like he meant business.
Something wrong?
That man, he phoned me again. I don't know what to think.
Well, what did he say?
He wanted to know if I changed my mind, and when I told him I hadn't, he told me the water in the river would be awfully cold.
What?
How did he know about my dream? How did he know?
Yeah, it's the most uncanny thing I ever heard of.
What's the answer to all this?
Daddy, he didn't know about your dream. It's just the other way around.
Well, what do you mean?
I'm afraid Mother's right. Your dreams are foretelling the future, Daddy. They're warning you of what's going to happen.
And now John's spirits are crushed again. For if the dream told the truth, then his fate is sealed in spite of anything he can do. Dwight, however, is not ready to give up. He is annoyed with Eva for admitting her belief in the dream.
Darling, for your father's sake, you shouldn't have said what you did, even though you believe it yourself.
I know, Dwight. Perhaps I shouldn't. I said it before I thought. But there must be something to those dreams.
Yes, I know. You got me guessing. But look, let's try to do something.
Do what?
I've been thinking about this quarrel your father had. He won't tell us the man's name, but maybe we can find out.
How?
Through your father's secretary. The quarrel took place in his office, you know.
Oh, yes. Miss Edwards might know about it.
Well, shall we get down and see her?
But look, let's not tell her what we want the information for. The less we say about this situation, the better.
Well, we'll give her some other reason.
Yes.
Get your coat and hat on, honey. We'll get out of my car.
Miss Edwards, this is Mr. Cooper, my fiancé. How do you do?
Miss Edwards?
We'd like to ask you a few questions if you can spare us a few moments. Why, yes, of course. My father isn't feeling very well today, and that's why he didn't come down. See, we've learned that he's rather upset about a heated argument he had recently with some wealthy man here at the office. Argument? Daddy won't talk about it. He hasn't even mentioned the man's name, but it's quite necessary that we find out all we can about it. And if you'll tell us who the man was, we'll treat the matter in confidence.
But, I don't know of any fuss your father had, Miss Prentice. He's quite an even-tempered man.
Yes? Are you sure you don't remember?
Very well. There was an argument. I couldn't hear what was being said. They were in your father's private office, but I did hear your father talking quite angrily with Mr. Reeves.
Who's he?
Milton Reeves. He's been in several big deals with Mr. Prentice.
Oh.
Couldn't you hear anything that was being said?
No, just their loud voices. Mr. Reeves was angry, too, but I really couldn't make out what they said.
No? Well, at any rate, we've got something to go on, Eva.
Yes. I think we'd better have a talk with Mr. Reeves. Thank you, Miss Edwards.
You won't tell Mr. Prentice that I said anything, will you? Or Mr. Reeves either?
Oh, no. You can depend on that.
I'm Dwight Cooper, Mr. Reeves. And this is Miss Prentice.
How do you do, Miss Prentice? John Prentice's daughter, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, what is it, Mr. Cooper? I'm in a bit of a hurry. I'm going away on a trip this afternoon.
I'll be very brief. We've heard that you and Mr. Prentice had some sort of a disagreement with each other a few days ago.
Yes? Who told you that?
Mr. Prentice is quite ill, Mr. Reeves, and we think it's a result of that quarrel. If we could find out something about it, we might be able to straighten him out.
Well, John knows all about it.
He won't talk about it, Mr. Reeves.
He won't, eh? Well, John shouldn't let a thing like that get him down. Business is business, you know. He wanted me to renew a loan, and I refused to do it.
So that was it.
In his particular business, well, I don't know what the future will be with all this rationing and priorities.
Had you promised to renew the loan?
Well, as a matter of fact, I had. But I changed my mind, which is my privilege. John wanted me to wait a few days, said he was trying to borrow some money from the State Mutual. But I didn't think it was good business to wait, so I called the loan.
Oh, I see. I imagine that made him pretty angry.
Did it? You'll pardon me, Miss Prentice, for talking so frankly about your father, but really, I never heard a man get so abusive in my life. Why, he actually threatened me.
Yes?
He acted like a schoolboy. Said he'd get revenge.
Do you think he will get revenge?
Oh, no,
Oh, yes. You're afraid of him, aren't you? You'd like to arrange things so he couldn't possibly get revenge, wouldn't you, Mr. Reeves?
Did you threaten him?
Say, what are you getting at?
I think you know what we're getting at.
I do not. Now, see here. I've told you all I'm going to tell you, so now I'll ask you both to leave.
Surely. You've told us quite enough, Mr. Reeves.
Dwight, hadn't we better go to the police station and tell Captain Arnold?
No, darling, not yet. But I'm sure Reeves is the one who's hired that thug to kill your father.
So am I.
He said he was going on a trip.
He wants to be out of the way when it happens, so he won't be suspected.
Of course. Then why shouldn't we have him arrested?
I'd like to get more evidence first. I want to find out more about that loan. Who do you think could tell me?
Well, Mr. McAdams ought to be able to tell you. He's the treasurer of Daddy's firm.
All right, I'll go see him. Look, honey, suppose you take a taxi and go on home. See how things are getting along.
Oh, Dwight,
Please, honey, I may have to do some running around. Look, don't tell your father about this.
Oh, no. All right, Dwight. But don't be gone too long.
I won't tell him.
But Dwight has been gone much too long to suit Eva. It is now 11:30 at night. Eva and her mother have become increasingly nervous as the clock ticks off the seconds, bringing the time closer and closer to midnight, John's last moment on Earth.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, Dwight, where have you been? We've been worried to death.
Well, one thing led to another. McAdams had gone out in the country, but I finally caught up with him.
Have you told the police about Mr. Reeves?
No, I haven't. Where's Mr. Prentice?
In the library. Oh, he's in a terrible state of mind, Dwight. He's got the door locked. He told the policeman to stand outside his window. Listen. Someone at the door. Oh, my heavens. Oh, why didn't that policeman
Now, don't
stop?
get panicky,
I'll see who it is.
Open the wicket.
It's a messenger boy.
It might be a trick.
It looks all right.
Telegram for Mr. Prentice.
All right, I'll take it.
Sign here.
There you are. Here.
Oh, thanks, mister.
I wonder who'd be...
Mrs. Prentice, have I your permission to open this message? For certain reasons, I'd like to see who it's from.
Why, yes, Dwight. Go ahead. What is it, Dwight?
It's important. Very important. I've got to show it to your father right away. Mr. Prentice, open up. It's Dwight. Mr. Prentice.
It's all right, Daddy. Unlock the door. Dwight's got a telegram for you.
Why doesn't he answer? We'll go outside and look through the window. The officer's out there. Come on. Where is that officer, Eva? I don't see him.
I don't know, Dwight. Daddy told him to stay right here by the window.
Eva, look. The window's wide open.
What?
What's that?
Oh, my heavens. There's the policeman on the ground. Something's happened to him. He's hurt.
Officer! Officer! He's coming around. What happened?
I seen a car drive up in the alley.
Oh.
A light-colored sedan. And just as I started to investigate, somebody slugs me in the back of the head. That's all I remember.
And they've got him. They've got Daddy.
Darling, I'm going after that sedan.
How do you know where it went?
I'll find it. I'll drive to the Tower Street Bridge.
I'm going with you.
No, you stay here, Eva.
And why does Dwight think he'll find the light-colored sedan at the Tower Street Bridge? Is it because Mr. Prentice saw that bridge in his dream? Or is there another reason? A reason known only to Dwight? But Eva can't wait, and so a moment later, another car speeds toward the bridge. The policeman's car. The officer is at the wheel, and Eva and Clara are by his side.
Oh, officer, can't you go faster?
I'm driving as fast as I can, Miss Prentice. Say, I better put in a radio call to headquarters and have them send a squad car to the other side of that bridge. No telling what we'll run into there.
There's the bridge right ahead, officer. And there's the clock.
What clock?
The one Daddy saw in his dream. And look, it's midnight.
I don't know nothing about the dream, Miss Prentice. All
I see a car out on the bridge. You see it?
That's the baby. That's the one I saw at the house.
Where's Dwight's car? Dwight's car isn't there.
He must have got lost. Say, we'd better watch our step. The squad car ain't come to the other end yet.
Oh, hurry, officer.
Now, don't you get out of the car. You stay here. I'll see what's going on.
Yes, but hurry.
All right, Miss Prentice. You and your mother can come here.
Is Daddy there?
There ain't a soul here. The car's deserted.
Oh, but too late. He's already done it.
Who's done what?
Oh, can't you remember anything I told you about Daddy's dream? I'm talking about that man. He saw Daddy in the water.
Oh.
Is there something we can do? Oh, it couldn't have happened very long ago.
If your father's been thrown in the river, Miss Prentice, he's a goner, but now nobody could swim in that current.
Poor Daddy.
I can't figure out is why the guy left the car here.
Oh, poor John.
Hey, look. There's some rope in the back of the car. And a knife.
He tied Daddy's hands.
Hey, here comes the squad car now. They're coming in from the other end of the bridge.
Oh, officer, who's this car registered to?
Wait a minute. Well, by golly, there's no registration slip in it.
I know who it belongs to. Milton Reeves.
I'll take the number and we'll check on it later.
What's up, Jack?
It looks like there's some dirty work been going on here.
Yeah? Well, maybe this guy knows something about it. Quit shoving me, will you?
Why'd you pick him up?
He was running away from the bridge.
Oh, he was, huh? All right, buddy. What do you know about this sedan?
Not a thing. I wasn't on the bridge.
Yeah, that's him. That's the man who threatened Daddy over the phone. I can tell by his voice.
Well, now we're getting someplace. All right, you. Give. Where's Mr. Prentice?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You threw him into the river, didn't you?
No.
You're a liar. Come on, talk.
I don't know nothing.
We'll get you to talk at headquarters.
A few minutes later, the river's being dragged for Prentice's body. But what has become of Dwight? He hasn't been seen since he drove away toward the bridge. The two heartbroken women return home to wait for the sad news. They step into the house, and Mrs. Prentice breaks into a sob.
Oh, come, Mother. You must try to get hold of yourself. We must try to be brave.
Oh, I know, dear. I know. What has become of Dwight?
Oh, I don't know what on earth could have happened to him.
Eva, darling.
Dwight, what are you doing there in the library? We thought you'd run out on us.
Well, I haven't been here long.
Oh, Dwight, it's terrible. I never dreamed such a thing was going to happen.
No, just be patient, darling, and I'll tell you everything. I told you I finally saw McAdams.
Yes?
Well, the story about the loan was a lot worse than we thought. I found that Reeves had a grudge against your father. So he planned to ruin him and get everything he had. And he did just that, by refusing to renew and calling the loan. He did it deliberately. He worked in a backhanded manner and wrecked the business. He held the paper on everything your father owned.
Father's broke.
Yes. Reeves broke your father.
Oh, no.
Absolutely penniless. Reeves has the business, this house, everything. He pulled it so fast that your father hadn't a chance to get on his feet. When I found that out, I suspected the truth, but I wasn't sure till I got to that bridge.
The truth?
Then you did go to the bridge.
I did. And I got there just in time to prevent the tragedy. I pulled your father into my car by force, turned around on the bridge, and came back here.
What are you saying?
He isn't dead.
No, he's here, in the library.
Oh, heaven.
John.
No. Just a minute, please. I'll bring him in. Come in, Miss Prentice.
Oh, Father, thank heaven you're safe.
John, what happened?
I know how you feel, Mr. Prentice, but you'd better tell him.
Yes, Dwight, I will. You see, my dears, I just couldn't bear the thought of my wife and daughter suffering poverty. The only thing I had left was that insurance policy, and it would have lapsed in another day. I had to think fast.
John, you don't
If
mean...
I'd commit suicide while the policy was in effect, you'd get $100,000. But I wanted to spare you the disgrace of the suicide, so I decided to kill myself and make it appear as though I'd been murdered. Then, as I developed the plan, I got an inspiration. Why not hang the murder on Reeves, the man who had deliberately ruined me? That would be my revenge. Well, now you know the whole story. Now you understand the nightmares.
But the telephone call.
I hired the man to make the calls and steal Reeves's car and drive me to the bridge and then give me the motor, as though it had stalled. All so that my murder could be traced directly to Reeves, who really had a motive to kill me.
What motive?
Well, my secretary knew all about it. When I discovered it was Reeves who was back of my failure, I threatened to divulge something I knew about him. He flew into a rage. The secretary heard him, and that was just what I wanted. But I knew I couldn't raise the money quickly enough, and my insurance policy was up tomorrow at noon. Well, that's the story. And it's all a miserable mess.
Yes, John. It's all a very, very sad situation. Oh, but wait a minute. What about that telegram the boy delivered earlier? Where does that fit in? Was that part of your plan, John?
Telegram? What telegram? Let me see it, Dwight. Why, it's from the State Mutual. They've granted the loan I requested.
Yes, John, they've granted the loan. Now you can straighten things out. Now you can get back on your feet again. But think, John, what a sad tale this would have been if you'd followed through with your plan and Dwight hadn't caught you on the bridge at midnight.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tonight's Whistler story was written by Herbert Connor, directed by J. Donald Wilson, and came to you from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15.
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you another unusual tale. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.